up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. The anti-Semitic riots at Columbia and Yale should be a wake-up call for Americans. It's just more evidence that when it comes to our elite universities, the emperor has no clothes. Student radicals pitch tents and fits at elite academies that were once the envy of the world. They're the lucky few, out of mountains of accomplished, well-rounded, hard-working applicants who would have welcomed the chance to learn rather than agitate. But the universities hand-selected these radicals. It's an important reminder that places like Columbia and Yale no longer deserve the deference they've long been accorded. And it's another reason to resist Joe Biden's efforts at loan forgiveness. The universities accepted these students and created hotbeds of anti-Semitic and anti-American hatred. Let a tax on their overstuffed endowments pay down the student debt and fix at least one of the problems they've created. I'm Carol Platt-Liebau.
Hi, this is Carl Amari.
I'm Lisa Wolf. Join us every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. for all things entertainment on Hollywood 360.
If you love classic radio shows, The Shadow, Jack Benny, The Lone Ranger, Dragnet, Gunsmoke, and many more, we have them for you on Hollywood 360.
We'll also present trivia contests with prizes, showbiz news, celebrity interviews, games, and movie reviews.
So don't miss Hollywood 360 every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So yesterday, the Senate passed the $95 billion foreign aid package, the majority of which is going to Ukraine, with some for Israel and a little left over for Taiwan and the Indo-Pacific. The speechifying was interesting. Speechifying in the Senate, I'm talking about. First, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell on the floor.
Today, the Senate sits for a test on behalf of the entire nation. It's a test of American resolve, our readiness, and our willingness to lead. And the stakes of failure are abundantly clear. Failure to help Ukraine stand against Russian aggression now means inviting escalation against our closest treaty allies and trading partners. It means greater risk that American forces would become involved in conflict. It means more costly deployments of our military and steeper military requirements to defend against aggression.
So the argument you've undoubtedly heard before, that better to spend $1 today than $2 with ground troops tomorrow. Essentially, you always have to raise the specter of ground troops as if we don't provide the money that Ukraine, that Zelensky is asking for, more like demanding, then it necessarily increases the prospect that we'll have to deploy American soldiers to Eastern Europe. I don't know that the two follow. I guess if you believe the domino theory, then you could argue, and maybe Jed Babin will when we talk to him about this a little bit later in the program, that, we have this NATO alliance and Ukraine is not a NATO country, but there are NATO countries in Putin's crosshairs, and if we're going to abide the compact that an attack on one is an attack on all, then we would have to respond in kind. I guess that's the argument. But it is interesting that the specter of ground troops is always sort of a threat that's made when D.C. politicians want to throw money at problems. The ounce of prevention argument, I don't know if you find that compelling. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line.
Even Britt Hume was on Fox News yesterday saying, well, we don't have troops on the ground, so we're not going to have any casualties ever if we give them this money.
Well, yeah.
I know. Well,
Well, right. If in the absence of troops,
right.
No one will die in Ukraine. I agree,
exactly.
but
I don't know.
how does that logically follow that if we don't give them money, we have to send troops? It doesn't logically follow.
No, but they dangle that in front of us like it's some possibility, and I don't think.
Yeah, well, I understand. That's the essentially the veiled threat that they're making. We don't want to see troops over there. By the way, if it's such an odd sort of bluff, in my opinion, because where the issue is maybe a 50-50 matter in terms of support for Ukraine among the American electorate, sending ground troops, sending American soldiers, putting American soldiers in harm's way, that's not much of a threat when there is overwhelming opposition to doing so. And really no appetite in an election year, especially for the political class in D.C. to do so. So I don't know how much of a threat that is, really, in terms of this sense of urgency that the political class is trying to create. By the way, 19 Republican senators voted against it. Only 19. This package that, again, as Byron Donalds said the other day, they want to make this about, he's essentially saying, they want to make this all about Ukraine. But it's not all about Ukraine. It's the promises that were made by House Republican leadership that are not being kept. He was Byron Donalds on Squawk Box.
My response to you, Joe, is in Washington, things are never linked. What happens in Washington all the time is that deals are cut based upon leverage and the ability to count votes. So you use every legislative tool at your disposal to accomplish your means. There have been many bills that have gone through Capitol Hill where there are two diametrically opposed subjects, but they were put together in order to get the votes for it to become law. We all know this. So to ignore the reality of security for our nation while you're providing for security for other nations, as far as I'm concerned, does not make sense at all. So the fact that you're talking about security, whether it's here at home or abroad, those are linking subjects. But look, at the end of the day, this is the package that the speaker and the leadership put on the floor. That's why you had a majority of Republicans, 112 of us, vote against funding to Ukraine, because we had been told by our leadership, and frankly, we had been telling the American people that there was not going to be more Ukraine aid unless our border was secured. That ended up not being the case.
That ended up not being the case, indeed. Bob, Buffalo Grove, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Thanks for taking my call. Maybe you can educate me on this one senator and play the soundbite, but I learned something this weekend. One senator said that we got to give money to the Ukraine because we got to protect our border, because the Ukraine border is our border.
Yeah, that's
right. Know that.
Yeah, right. Gerald Connolly was a House member, so he's a socialist from Virginia, said that. That's right. Thanks for the call, Bob. Right, Ukraine border is our border.
What about
We're all Ukrainians
our own
now.
border? Right.
But the point that Byron Donalds makes is really the salient one. And so so there's a response to that from Republicans. Mitch McConnell has the response. Most won't say it quite the way that he is saying it, but this is essentially the Republican position, especially in the Senate, to the argument that Byron Donalds make, is that there was this promise, and now we had House Republican leadership do an about face and say we don't need to extract any sort of policy changes at the border in order to contemplate this foreign aid package because there's some sense of urgency with the prospective spring offensive by Putin. But here's the real position in response to the criticism that you heard from Donald's. Mitch McConnell again, of course.
I think the demonization of Ukraine began by Tucker Carlson, who, in my opinion, ended up where he should have been all along, which is interviewing Vladimir Putin. And so he had an enormous audience, which convinced a lot of rank-and-file Republicans that maybe this was a mistake. I think the former president had sort of mixed views on it. We all felt that the border was a complete disaster, myself included. And Chad, you remember covering the phases we went through. First, there was an effort to make law, which requires you to deal with Democrats. And then a number of our members thought it wasn't good enough. And then our nominee for president didn't seem to want us to do anything at all. That took months to work our way through it. So we ended up doing the supplemental that was originally proposed, which dealt with not all problems. It didn't solve the border problem, but certainly addressed the growing threats at the moment.
So Senator Freeze framed there, Mitch McConnell saying essentially the only reason that this is contentious, this foreign aid funding, is because of Tucker Carlson, and the only reason we don't have a deal on the border included in this foreign aid funding is because of Trump. But for Tucker Carlson and Trump, all things would be running smoothly in a wonderfully bipartisan fashion, which, you know, nothing bad ever happens when Republicans and Democrats get together, as we all know. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Michael, Southside.
Morning, Dan. Morning, Amy. Thank you both for taking my call. The whole issue of funding for Ukraine makes me want to gag. I can remember 12 years ago, the American left skewered Mitt Romney when he said that Russia was a problem. And now here we are funding a war against Russia. Like I said, this situation just makes me sick. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, Michael. Well, something else, I mean, just in terms of what McConnell said about, and this reporting that's been going on. Oh, Trump didn't want anything because he's playing politics with the border. They're always trying to flip the script to, misdirect attention away from the power they're choosing not to exercise that they have. And I'm talking about the Biden administration. And that's really the key here. To the extent that Trump was saying, don't do the deal that Langford and McConnell cooked up with Schumer in the Senate, that we discussed in great detail, of course, and that had no audience in the House. Either House GOP leadership, Speaker Johnson, you'll recall, rejected it as well. But the suggestion that Trump don't do anything because, we want this to be an issue. No, it was don't sell out for funding. And this is the position of Tom Homan and other people as well who are actually knowledgeable about border security and committed to it. We don't need more agents. That's not fundamental. We need policy changes. And so the point was, you have to extract policy changes. You have to force Joe Biden to make policy changes in exchange for any deal on foreign aid funding with their monomaniacal focus on Ukraine when we say foreign aid funding, which it was. So that was the point. Get Biden to move, which is an acknowledgement that this is his responsibility, that he has the power to improve the situation, and that he's choosing not to do it. Maintain the focus there, because that's where you can actually affect the most change the most quickly, because of the virtual plenary power the president has when it comes to border security. So McConnell is misrepresenting this whole, Trump killed it because he wants to make this a political issue come the fall, where we're the solutionists in the Senate. Hardly. All right. Coming up at 5:38, speaking of the former president, he had some comments after day 2 of testimony and the trial that shall not be seen or heard by the outside world. We'll start there, 5:38.
And later, are you Mayor Adams? We'll explain. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
It's 5:31 on AM 560. The Answer. President Biden set to sign a new foreign aid bill into law. This after the Senate on Tuesday passed a $95 billion foreign aid package. Senate Leader Chuck Schumer.
The Senate sends a unified message to the entire world. America will always defend democracy in its hour of need.
The bill also laid the groundwork to ban the social media app TikTok. Protests continue to break out as many call for an end to the Israel war against Hamas terrorists. Some in New York even taking to a U.S. senator's home.
100 more arrests, this time near Brooklyn, outside of Senator Chuck Schumer's house. They were arrested for blocking traffic. Those people were calling for an end to U.S. military support of Israel. Many of those arrested were actually members of a progressive Jewish group.
Fox's Steve Harrigan. Former President Trump's criminal hush money trial resumes Thursday in New York City. Former National Enquirer publisher David Pecker is expected to continue testifying. A bill allowing Tennessee teachers to carry guns is headed to the governor's desk there. The bill allows for specially trained teachers to carry handguns in their classrooms. Parents would not know if their child's teacher was armed or not. The governor has expressed support for that bill. The off-duty killing of Chicago police officer Luis Huesca is being classified as a line-of-duty death. Meantime, services are set for the officer. Huesca was shot and killed early Sunday. Funeral services will be held next Monday at St. Rita Catholic Church, while a wake will take place Sunday at the Blake Lamb Funeral Home in Oak Lawn. Authorities continue investigating a violent home invasion on Chicago's South Side. 2 male offenders entered that home in the 8,000 block of South Carpenter, occupied by 2 female and 1 male victim. The offenders attacked the male and took property. As the attackers were running away, one suffered a gunshot wound. He is hospitalized in critical condition. The battery victim is hospitalized in good condition. Bears are set to announce today plans for a new domed lakefront stadium. Chicago Tribune reports the team will ask taxpayers statewide to foot the bill for at least half of the $4.6 billion project. After buying the old Arlington racetrack, the Bears installed new leadership in CEO Kevin Warren and then seemed to abandon the idea of owning their own facility. Arlington Heights Mayor Thomas Hayes says the Arlington plan is still the best for the team.
From day one, the Bears have told us they want to own their own stadium and want property around the stadium to build a multi-use development that can hold game day experiences.
And interest this morning is growing to purchase Oberweis Dairy after the company filed for bankruptcy. The president of the North Aurora-based company says the owner of local company Dutch Farms has made a strong bid to buy all the operating assets of Oberweis. Cubs over the Astros 7-2. White Sox fell through again. 6-5 come-from-behind victory for the Twins over the Sox at Target Field. The worst team in baseball is on a 5-game losing streak. The news, a service of Turnkey.pro. Turnkey's real-time threat hunting defends you, your employees, and your customers from vulnerable cyber attacks. Shield your complete infrastructure from malware, phishing scams, and other threats. Visit Turnkey.pro. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher sees Trump dead on.
The world's on fire, and we have this idiot in the White House to blame. Now, normally a talk show host says things like that, not the Republican nominee for president. But it's where we are, and this is what the left doesn't get, and the Trump haters never recognize. Millions of Americans relate to this. and say, you're right, you're right, you're right.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century. With IoT Smart Connected Scanning, it's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
Hi, I'm Ron Kraszewski, Chairman and CEO of Stifel. Financial advisors, let's face it, if you're not growing your practice, you're losing market share. Stifel is a growing, entrepreneurial, advisor-centric firm built for successful advisors like you. There's a reason why 148 financial advisors joined Stifel last year. Come join us and find out why Stifel is the firm where success meets success. Visit www.choosestifel.com.
Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Help DEA keep our community safe and healthy by participating in National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day, Saturday, April 27th. Take action right in your own home by cleaning out your medicine cabinet of unneeded medications. Keep them safe, clean them out, take them back. Find a collection site near you at DEATakeback.com. Do your part to lower overdose deaths and prevent prescription drug misuse before it starts. That's DEATakeback.com.
Don't pay retail for your diamond engagement ring or gift. Come to cleanorigin.com.
5:39, let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is a service of McGrath Lexus in Westmont and Chicago. Experience the next level of excellence at McGrath Lexus in nearby Westmont and downtown Chicago. When you do the math, you'll choose McGrath. View new and pre-owned inventory online at McGrathLexus.com. Inbound Kennedy right now slowing up at Foster 22 and climbing in to the Burns Circle interchange. Stevenson 25 minutes into DuSable Lakeshore Drive, and the Dan Ryan 15 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Sunny, breezy, and chilly today. High near 48. Currently clouding and 39. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So day 2 of Trump's trial in Manhattan concluded yesterday. And just to set a baseline here, to remember, the foundational issue, so we don't get all caught up in the day-to-day, did Trump did or did not violate this ridiculous and I would argue unconstitutional gag order he's under. Just the baseline here, which is the whole thing is absurd. The whole thing is absurd. Jonathan Turley, George Washington law professor.
What is clear is in this case, Trump is right. I mean, this is an embarrassment. I mean, the fact that we are actually talking about this case being presented in a New York courtroom leaves me in utter disbelief. I mean, the arguments today did, in fact, capture all the problems here. You know, you had this misdemeanor under state law that had run out. This is going back to related to the 2016 election. And they zapped it back into life by alleging that there was a campaign finance violation under the federal laws that doesn't exist. The Department of Justice doesn't view it this way. But on top of that, you've got these tough factual issues that were laid out well by the Trump team, saying someone else designated this as a legal expense, and he was actually paid far in excess of this because of this was a legal account. But also keep in mind, this is what Hillary Clinton's people did. You know, remember when they funded the Steele dossier, which they denied to reporters, they put it as a legal expense, and then they fought the eventual fine that they received from the federal government, saying, but it was a legal expense. But now you've got some of the same Democrats supporting this bizarre theory.
So, I mean, that's just to establish that I'm really not that interested in what happens on a day-to-day basis other than Trump's pronouncements when he merges from the courtroom, because the whole thing is illegitimate.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. And don't forget, this all started because of Stormy Daniels. Went to the National Enquirer, said, I have a story, and if you pay me, I'll be quiet. And her attorney is in jail for fraud. She owes President Trump $600,000 for frivolous lawsuits. Remember that? People forget about that. And again, she was represented by a guy who's already in prison for extortion, Michael Avenatti.
Right, former darling of CNN and MSNBC and prospective presidential candidate. Right. But it's not what this didn't all start with Stormy Daniels in the sense that whatever did or did not happen between Stormy Daniels and Trump has nothing to do with the rule of law. Right. That may have something to do with character, but it doesn't have anything to do with criminal law. And that's the issue. And that's the point that Turley is making. But this becomes just a political matter. Trump obviously making the point that he has been making for months, that this is election interference. He did so again yesterday.
So we're locked up in a courtroom, and this guy's out there campaigning. If you call it a campaign, every time he opens his mouth, he gets himself into trouble.
Exactly. So he should be happy that Biden is on the campaign trail.
Well, but I mean, he has no freedom of speech. He has no freedom of movement. He's stuck there. I don't know if you've ever been to a trial. I haven't been on trial, but I've had to cover one, and it is you can't move, you can't leave. If he leaves, if he talks during the trial, he'll be held in contempt of court. If he leaves to go to maybe his son's graduation, he'll be arrested. It's sick. And then when he speaks to the media, he has to be, there's no microphones up close. That's why it's echoey. He's behind this cage. I mean, they're just treating him horribly, and they're doing this for election interference so that he cannot be out on the campaign trail.
Yeah, It's the Hannibal Lecter treatment. His supporters can't come within a country mile of the courthouse either because, of course, they're all insurrectionists and threats to the public and threats to our democracy and so on and so forth. But in point of fact, I think Trump is doing a pretty good job of campaigning while complaining that he can't campaign. I'm not saying that the gag order is appropriate. It's not. The whole thing I just said is illegitimate. But and he should be making that part of the argument, in addition to a couple other parts, when he has the opportunity. I mean, he had before he had court yesterday, he did a gaggle, press gaggle with the former Prime Minister of Japan. So he's got a world leader on his arm on one moment, and then he goes back to his criminal trial the next moment. There are things he can do around New York City. I mean, whatever he does is going to be newsworthy. So when he went to the bodegas and had those interactions with bodega owners and recalling the bodega owner who was wrongly accused of murder, speaking of criminal injustice, for defending himself from an attacker in his bodega, Alba, remember? There's other things he can do, and I think our friend Hugh Hewitt made this point, and I like it. I thought this was a good idea. I mean, Columbia University is not far away.
Oh, that would be...
Do a little walkthrough.
Yeah, the encampment's still up, so he could do that.
Yeah, do a little walkthrough over at Columbia and talk to some of the Jewish students there.
Well, Trump did two very smart things yesterday before he went into the courtroom. He talked about the Pennsylvania primary and talked about David McCormick. Right. And then he talked about anti-Semitism on college campuses. And has Biden talked about that at all? And he's a free man. He's got a microphone wherever he wants it. No. But Trump did from the courtroom or outside the courtroom yesterday. I thought that was smart.
Well, Biden tried to talk about it when he was being squired around by AOC, but he had what people were calling his fine people on both sides. I don't like that characterization because the fine people on both sides is a misnomer.
Here that is. It was during Earth Day celebrations, Dan.
President, what's your message to the protesters? Do you condemn the anti-Semitic protests on college campuses?
I condemn the anti-Semitic protests. That's why I've set up a program to deal with that. I also condemn those who don't understand what's going on with the Palestinians.
Yeah, there's condemnation on both sides because I got a middle of the issue. I'm worried about what's going on in Dearborn, Michigan. I set up a program to deal with it. What's the program?
Right, that's what I said too, Dan.
Explain it to
program?
us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the name of it? Where is it based out of? What?
Well, so that was his best effort. Biden's to address the issue again. Like I said, he's got to middle it, and so that's what he did. And Trump, just one other piece from Trump in day two, per the restrictions he's under and why we're trying to divine things, and you just see people repeating the same sort of exchanges and lines from the trial. Having to trust the D.C. press corps, the Eastern Seaboard big government press corps, to give us the nuances and the blow by blow in the trial is not a great position to be in if you're trying to make gather an informed understanding.
And I don't even know if you're allowed to put them in. We have a gag order, which to me is totally unconstitutional. I'm not allowed to talk, but people are allowed to talk about me. So they can talk about me, they can say whatever they want, they can lie, but I'm not allowed to say anything. I just have to sit back and look at why a conflicted judge has ordered me to have a gag order. I don't think anybody's ever seen anything like this. I'd love to talk to you people. I'd love to say everything that's on my mind, but I'm restricted because I have a gag order. And
the best thing is he holds up a stack of newspapers and just reads the headlines. Like even the New York Times, the gray lady, and they'll read the headline about how his trial is unjust.
I think that's in effect, he is campaigning to multiple audiences, to the jury as well as to the electorate. But there are other things that he could be doing. I mean, as I said, I like the Hugh Hewitt idea, and we'll get to Trump also. In addition to continuing to campaign, he has cut a message on the issue of what's going on at college campuses that we'll get to at the top of the next hour when we talk more about the ongoing Pitt protesters, the pro-Islamist terrorism protesters. But other things he could be doing, cutting videos, meeting with world leaders, doing, a little bit of door knocking in neighborhoods around Manhattan, in and around Manhattan. I mean, he's doing a lot. I'm not saying that there's anything that's obvious, but and he's also being outspent in the swing states significantly by Biden, but he's still managing to hold modest leads in those states. Long way to go. Long way to go.
6 months.
He's got to just stay creative. Stay creative. I think that there is, the more of this drags on and the more embarrassing it becomes and the more fact-free, evidence-free the assertions made by Alvin Bragg, the more obvious it becomes that is the case, then the bigger the boomerang will be to Trump's benefit with respect to this whole circus.
And people forget Matthew Colangelo. I mean, he was Biden's former acting associate attorney general. And he left a cushy job at the Department of Justice to take this case, to move to New York, crime-ridden New York, and do this case. This is so politically motivated.
Right. Politically motivated and with the Biden administration's fingerprints on it, too, as he pretends that, these are just local jurisdictions and I don't have anything to do with it. These phony walls of separation that we're supposed to believe. Yeah. No, well, I mean, again, if to the extent that people are paying attention, they're getting, information at that granular level, is the extent that this blows up in the Biden administration's face, that, the politics that looks so good in persecuting Trump ends up hoisting Biden Incorporated by their own petard. We'll see. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Did the Protestant Reformation suffer a premature death? Absolutely, argues the riveting book, Reviving the Reformation by Dr. Daniel Lang. The book of Acts chapter 21 verse 20 reports that myriads or tens of thousands of Jewish believers dwelled in Jerusalem, and they were all zealous for the Torah. Their leaders were guiding the early Messianic faith. 40 years after the death of Jesus, however, the Jews revolted against Rome. This rebellion caused a Roman hammer to crush Israel, destroying the temple and Jerusalem. Following this devastation, the leadership of the Jerusalem church fell into other hands. Reviving the Reformation recovers the lost first-century Messianic faith. It answers the most difficult questions that some dare not ask about traditional Christianity. Buy Reviving the Reformation on Amazon. For a deep discount, purchase the book securely from the author at revivingthereformation.com. That's revivingthereformation.com. And like Reviving the Reformation on Facebook. With biblical faith fading fast in Western culture, now is the time to restore the truth by reviving the Reformation.
Can you read this email for me?
Of course. Jeez, I wish they could do something for your eyesight.
Me too. But you heard what they said. There's nothing we can do.
When vision loss can't be corrected with glasses or surgery, and hope seems lost, turn to Spectrios Institute for Low Vision. Spectrios doctors specialize in the treatment of vision loss related to eye diseases, such as macular degeneration, glaucoma, and diabetic retinopathy. There is hope, supported by science with personalized rehabilitation plans, occupational therapies, and access technology at Spectrios. Talk to a patient service manager. They'll walk you through the program. Spectrios takes BCBS and Medicare insurance. They also have grants for qualifying patients and offer a Seeing is Believing children's outreach program. Go to spectrios.org, located in Wheaton in a building that says it all, the House of Hope. That's spectrios.org. Spectrios Institute, the head, heart, and eyes approach to better vision. Remember to keep Spectrios Institute, a 501c, in your estate or legacy planning.
It has been confirmed. Those brave Americans who are trying to preserve free speech continue to be censored, shadow banned, or silenced. Wealth Protection Research is on a mission to share the liberating ideas of some of America's brightest and most free thinkers, people like Jim Rickards and Porter Stansberry, whose ideas are putting financial control back in the hands of everyday people, helping them protect their money against a government that seems intent on destroying it. Text TRUTH to 76626 to find out more. As this election moves forward, we just released a report that reveals our 3 favorite ideas for protecting and growing your wealth during the 2024 election. These ideas are especially critical if you have an IRA or 401k. Text TRUTH to 76626. Discover ideas that are so simple and actionable they might save your retirement. Text TRUTH to 76626 now for your free report. That's TRUTH to 76626. Standard text and data rates may apply.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, good morning. And the performative art by cultural Marxists is not limited to the promotion of anti-Semitism. Wanted to update you on a story we brought you earlier in the week. The Tennessee House passed that bill that will allow teachers and staff in K through 12 schools to carry a gun to protect the students.
Yeah, if they want to. It's not mandatory.
Of course. Staff who want to carry must go through 40 hours of gun training and have a psych evaluation.
Good.
And in response to that, of course, there was a die-in protest at the state capitol, led by Justin Jones. You may remember Justin Jones. He was one of the legislators that was expelled for disrupting the proceedings in the House. Then he was reelected. Of course he was. But the whole imbroglio that he was involved in that ultimately led to his expulsion was after the Covenant School shooting. He and his Marxist colleagues wanted to do a symbolic gun ban, couldn't get any traction, and so he, made a spectacle of himself. And he's still doing it in the face of this, what I would think would be relatively innocuous legislation. Somebody with training, psych evaluation. It's going to be done in consultation with the leadership of a particular school or school district. So that would again offer public and parental input on top of that. So you're going to have to build consensus in order to do this. And yet here we have everybody lying on the ground and pretending that they're dead because somehow the right to protect yourself and having people who are properly trained and prepared, desiring to provide this protection, to do so in the school is somehow going to lead to more death. And not just in the wake of the Covenant School shooting, but the other story we brought you this earlier in the week, which is that Montgomery County, Maryland, where thankfully law enforcement was able to intercede and arrest a teenager who had a 130-page manifesto and had plotted out at least 2 school shootings, at least in his mind, or was it her mind? And it was another trans identifying person. But anyway,
mainstream media didn't talk about it because the person's trans.
Well, right, but the larger point is, that this continues to be an issue, and this is one substantive step to harden the target, if you will, something that we used to talk about, but the left only wants to focus on their Broadway performances in the political theater these days. So anyway, just wanted that is moving in Tennessee, and Governor Bill Lee is expected to sign it into law.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
All right, we'll get back to the other performative art by cultural Marxists, and that's, of course, on college campuses around the country, particularly the Eastern Seaboard. And you will hear Trump's idea of how to punish colleges that are incubators of such hate and ignorance. 606.
But now let's head into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Off-duty killing of a CPD officer ruled a line-of-duty death. Chicago police investigating after a man was killed on the south side, and the Bears are asking taxpayers to pay for the biggest chunk of any new stadium. WIND Chicago News Time, 6.
President Biden plans to sign it today. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
On this vote, the yeas are 79. The nays are 18.
That was the Senate approval last night of a $95 billion foreign aid package. Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says,
to our friends in Ukraine, America will soon deliver more ammunition and air defenses and basic supplies you need.
Almost two-thirds of the foreign assistance will go to help Ukraine battle Russia's invasion. Some Republicans oppose that, saying we've given Ukraine enough. And Congressman Jeff Van Drew tells Fox,
we're spending more money, and we're still not controlling our own border and letting people in, some of whom are dangerous and would do harm to the United States of America.
The bill also includes a possible ban on TikTok unless the social media app cuts ties to its Chinese parent company, amid concerns about surveillance and China manipulating TikTok content. Now today, Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in China starting 3 days of talks. Some of that foreign aid will also go to Israel. Some college students won't like that. That's at Columbia University, where a midnight deadline for pro-Palestinian protesters to take down an encampment was extended. A Columbia statement says,
protesters have committed to dismantling and removing a significant number of tents. In light of this constructive dialogue, the university will continue conversations for the next 48 hours. The protesters responding saying they will not be intimidated by, quote, the school's disturbing threat of an escalation of violence.
Fox's Brooks Singman. There have also been protests from NYU to Yale to some campuses in California. A scare in the air in northern Japan on an ANA flight. The plane had smoke coming out of it as it landed today. Nobody was injured, but according to FlightAware, it's another issue with another Boeing-made jet. The Biden administration is unveiling new regulations today on airlines, requiring them to be more transparent on fees when booking flights so passengers see the full cost of the tickets, and they'll have to give prompt refunds for cancellations or delays. America's listening to Fox News.
6:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. The off-duty killing of Chicago police officer Luis Huesca is being classified now as a line-of-duty death, meaning Huesca's family will be entitled to additional benefits. Meantime, services are set for the slain Chicago police officer. Funeral services will be held next Monday at St. Rita Catholic Church, while a wake takes place Sunday at the Blake Lamb Funeral Home in Oak Lawn. Authorities continue investigating a violent home invasion on Chicago's South Side. 2 male offenders entered a home on South Carpenter yesterday, occupied by 2 female victims and a male victim. As the attackers were running away, one suffered a critical gunshot wound. The other suspect was arrested. The battery victim this morning is in good condition. The Bears are set to announce today new plans for a domed lakefront stadium, and the Tribune is reporting the team will demand taxpayers statewide foot the bill for more than half of the project. After buying the old Arlington racetrack, the Bears installed new leadership in CEO Kevin Warren, then seemed to abandon the idea of owning their own facility in Arlington Heights, where the mayor says that plan is still best for the team.
And so, we've got 326 acres of prime real estate here in the northwest suburbs, in the heart of their fandom.
The stadium itself would cost $3.2 billion, $1.4 billion going toward infrastructure improvements. 5 of the 6 Republican candidates for governor took part in a final debate before the Indiana primary. U.S. Senator Mike Braun missed that debate due to votes in the Senate, but he is leading by wide margins in most recent polls. And the Dom and Foxtrot grocery stores in the Chicago area and across the country abruptly closed yesterday. Signs were posted announcing the closures across the country. Foxtrot and Dom's merged last November. Cubs over the Astros 7-2. Twins a come-from-behind win over the White Sox 6-5. The news a service of Salem Surround. Go to surroundchicago.com today. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Brandon Tatum wants more people to step up.
I just really wish more people like me would speak out more and be more confident about it. I know a lot of black people that think just like me, but man, they just won't say. They will never tell anybody. It's not conducive for them. But if only more black men knew that other black men agree with them and that they're not isolated and they're alone in their thoughts of saying, something ain't right here.
The Officer Tatum Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer. Don't let everyday aches and pains keep you from living your best life.
I don't think I really understood what people meant when they talked about pain until I started feeling it myself.
Start feeling better every day with Relief Factor, a daily supplement designed to support your body's fight against aches and pains.
Not only do I move better without pain, I just feel better.
Created by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that target 4 metabolic pathways to address pain. Relief Factor doesn't just mask aches and pains, it helps reduce or even eliminate them.
Today, I do the things I love, and it doesn't occur to me to think about pain.
You can feel the difference all day, every day.
Join the over 1 million people who have tried Relief Factor's 3-week Quick Start Kit. It's only $19.95. Visit relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4RELIEF. And feel the difference of Relief Factor.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. The anti-Semitic riots at Columbia and Yale should be a wake-up call for Americans. It's just more evidence that when it comes to our elite universities, the emperor has no clothes. Student radicals pitch tents and fits at elite academies that were once the envy of the world. They're the lucky few, out of mountains of accomplished, well-rounded, hard-working applicants who would have welcomed the chance to learn rather than agitate. But the universities hand-selected these radicals. It's an important reminder that places like Columbia and Yale no longer deserve the deference they've long been accorded. And it's another reason to resist Joe Biden's efforts at loan forgiveness. The universities accepted these students and created hotbeds of anti-Semitic and anti-American hatred. Let a tax on their overstuffed endowments pay down the student debt and fix at least one of the problems they've created. I'm Carol Platt-Liebau.
6:07. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that, of course, in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. Kennedy right now, Nagel to Montrose, you're on the brakes. 31 minutes into the Burns Circle interchange. 28 minutes on the Stevenson on your drive from 355 to DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Bishop Ford already stop and go inbound 115th into the Ryan Merge. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Sunshine, breezy, chilly day. High today 48. Tonight partly cloudy, chilly. Wrapping up those plants again from some potential frost. Low 34. Sunny to partly cloudy, warmer day tomorrow. The high 59. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
In our ReviveYourLawn.com Weather Center, 39 at O'Hare, 40 at Midway, 40 in Aurora. Your next news update is at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. More mayhem on college campuses yesterday by Pitt protesters, pro-Islamist terrorist protesters, kids, and with a little help from some professional organizations and underwriting, no question. All you have to do is look at the tents in that encampment at Columbia and other schools where there are lines of tents that are the same. So somebody mass purchased those tents.
Right, and they're about $200, and then the larger ones run about $600 to $800.
Well, up at University of Minnesota, Mom is not going to let daughter have all the glory.
Oh, okay. Mom, are you embarrassing me in front of my friends?
No, it's a tandem. It's a 1-2 punch. Talking about brotherly love spice. Ilhan Omar, her daughter, attended past tense Barnard College at about $100,000 to throw year there, and then she got suspended for her obstreperous conduct at Columbia with the other pro-Islamist terrorist protesters. And, she got a star turn on MSNBC where she talked about it. Well, you're not going to crowd Mom out of the spotlight. She wants her due as well. And she got it. I think she is the first member of Congress to speak at one of these pro-Islamist terrorist rallies. Is that right?
Yeah.
AOC
spoke about it, but she was at an Earth Day event.
Yeah, it doesn't count. No, it doesn't count.
But Omar was there on the ground with the protesters.
Well, right, and we're used to this in Chicago because we have city council members that have been speaking at these rallies. Of course. So there's no big deal for us, but for the rest of the nation, it's worth noting. So here's what Brotherly Love Spice had to say at the University of Minnesota with the celebrating the courage and the activism of these pro-Islamist terrorist protesters.
I have the proud honor of representing this incredible university in Congress. And I have to tell you, I am incredibly moved by your courage and bravery as a student body in putting your bodies on the line to stand in solidarity to end the genocide that is taking place in Gaza at this moment. I have to tell you, it's been incredibly painful for the last 5 days to see the discovery, while there is a discovery of a mass grave of more than 200 Palestinians in Khan Yunis, that our media, our elected politicians, our president, every single leader is spending their time and energy in talking about the protests as if you all are not here to give voice to the genocide that is taking place in Gaza. What started out 5 days ago with only 70 students organizing themselves at Columbia University has now led to a nationwide university movement.
Yeah, it's a real feather in the cap of higher ed, isn't it? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Just in case you think I'm being too harsh, they're not pro-Islamist terrorist protesters, Dan. These are not pro-Hamas people. Huh. They are. So the assertion that Omar made about this mass grave that was found, that's not true. That's Hamas propaganda,
right?
That she's repeating.
Built that grave themselves,
but it's not true. The evidence suggests that these are bodies that were buried by Palestinians amid the fighting in Gaza between the Israelis and these terrorist organizations and their, allies, essentially. But again, blood libel is nothing new for Ilhan Omar, so you can throw around the term genocide just like the kids do. She wants to get in on the action. She's still cool. She's still down with the struggle and all that. This was the response to it. Just in case, again, you think I'm being hyperbolic here. This is what one of the screeching Columbians, students at Columbia, said to Jewish students who were sort of counter-demonstrating. One Jewish student who had an Israeli flag wrapped around him was wearing a yarmulke. This is the exchange between those two individuals in New York. Again, just in case you think this is, well, come on, they're just kids. They're harmless kids. They're kids being silly. That's all.
Silly summer's coming up.
Yeah. Right. Sure. Where do we have? Do we have that clip?
What's it labeled? Maybe I can help you.
Columbia students, we are Hamas. Where's that? Okay, we'll have to effort that. In addition to that, First, it was Alec Baldwin in a coffee shop. Now it's Eric Adams on a plane. So just if you're not on a college just because you're not on a college campus doesn't mean they won't find you, call you out. Eric Adams, middle seat, by the way, sitting in the middle seat.
In exit row, I noticed that. Not in first class. He's down with the struggle, Dan.
Yeah.
He's with the people in that 1 hour and 10-minute flight from Miami to New York.
And a beautiful flower passed by and recognized Eric Adams and had this to say.
Are you Eric Adams? Yeah, you! You support the genocide in Palestine. There are homeless people all over New York. You're always partying. You don't actually care about the citizens of New York. Why are you even in Miami? You know there are people being arrested there. People are homeless in New York. People cannot afford food. You keep cutting the education budget so you can fund the police. That's all you care about, funding the police. Everything is underfunded because of you.
Trying to get
Okay, first of all, honey, the talking point was wrong. Everything's underfunded because they're giving money to the migrants.
Yeah, that's true.
Honey, not, yeah.
Yeah, that
not
is
to
true.
Police. Get your back straight, girlfriend.
That probably would have assuaged her FU a little bit, maybe taking the edge off that a bit. Yeah, I mean, why was he in Miami? Is he on spring break? Is he taking it late this year? So, I mean, I gotta tell you, I mean, you know, again, I know this is how obnoxious they are. You feel bad for Alec Baldwin in a coffee shop. You feel bad for Eric Adams on a plane, but I don't really.
I don't feel bad for him.
Because the people like Eric Adams and Alec Baldwin have given birth to people like those who are accosting them. Never forget that. As I was saying before, this is the exchange at Columbia I was mentioning. Take a listen.
Keep it moving, you Zionists. Keep it moving, you Zionists.
We are Hamas!
You're Hamas, wow. That's a good one. You're what? You're Hamas?
Yes, we're all Hamas, pig! I'm not Hamas! That's you!
She seems well-adjusted, balanced. We are Hamas, you Zionist pig. Those are your Ivy League kids. I mean, now the Jewish students are Ivy League as well, and you heard how well-mannered. Wait, I'm sorry, you're Hamas? Okay, I just want to make sure the record is correct.
I know. It's like, oh, you are? I mean, do people forget that a woman was being raped while they put her newborn baby in an oven? Like, just maybe give them one of those stories. I don't know. They terrorized so many people, caught them like in the morning, and then the people that were at the concert. I mean, what they did to people was barbaric and evil, and people forget about that.
We are Hamas. Yeah,
really.
That's quite a statement. So, where does this come from? The great protectors of the marginalized from a crossword. The censorious left, except when it comes to Jews. In this case, I mean, you could say the same for Christians in another context, pro-lifers in another context. But let's just talk about the double standard as it is evidenced by the treatment of Jewish students on campus and the sort of rhetoric that's used in the direction of Jewish people and obviously Israelis as well. Jewish people in America, obviously, as well as Israelis and the state of Israel. So where does this come from? Well, here's something that was offered by a professor at the NYU Stern School of Business. NYU has been ground zero on this, too. There was a few hundred more people out yesterday. They want their liberated zone back on campus. Where does this come from? Professor Scott Galloway, NYU Stern School of Business, on the double standard.
But I can tell you, if I went into the NYU square with a white hood on and said, lynch the blacks or burn the gays, my ID would be shut off by that night. and I would never work in academia again. There would be no need for the words context or nuance. I wouldn't be protected by terms like First Amendment or free speech. I would be out of the world of academia. It seems like we have a double standard when it comes to hate speech as long as it's against Jews.
Right. It's true. And yes, you can express noxious viewpoints, as you just heard. We are Hamas, you Zionist pig. Yeah, it's your right as an American. But it's not your right as an American to attend Columbia.
No.
There's no constitutional guarantee for your matriculation in the Ivy League. So that's a choice that's being made, and it's the double standard that's being highlighted.
And I feel bad for the Jewish students there and also the regular students who are pro-Palestinian, who they can't go to school now. Till the end of the year, they have to do remote learning. And they might not have a graduation.
Oh, well.
They might just send them their
sacrifices will have to be made for liberation. Sacrifices will have to be made in order for the revolution to come. So why this double standard?
Okay, why?
Well, here's one theory from the aforesaid Professor Galloway.
I think it's complicated. I think, one, young people have a healthy gag reflex on what people our age think. And I think that's healthy. Two, I don't think Israel has draped itself in glory over the last 20 or 30 years. They've shifted from being kind of the David to the Goliath. I also think that incorrectly students on campus conflate the civil rights movement with what is going on in Palestine and have digressed, unfortunately, because of an orthodoxy promoted by me and my colleagues that there are oppressors and oppressed, and the easiest way to identify oppressors is how white and how rich they are, or fairly or unfairly. Israel is seen as ground zero for whiteness and how wealthy they are. And then what might sound paranoid doesn't mean I'm wrong. I think we are being manipulated, specifically youth, who their frame for the world is TikTok. And if you look at TikTok, there are 52 videos that are pro-Hamas or pro-Palestinian for every one served on Israel. I think that we are being manipulated. I think Americans are easier to fool than convinced they've been fooled. But if I were the CCP, I'd be doing exactly the same thing. I think social media is sowing division and polarization in our
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. What do you think about the professor's explanation for the double standard?
Spot on.
It's not exactly spot on.
What do you
He's somewhat spot on. First of all, this gag reflex at what older people think. It's too charitable. Yes, you can revolt against the older generations and what they say is received wisdom. Fine, but all pushback against authority is not the same. And what you're seeing here is obviously unhealthy, not healthy for the individuals or the larger society. So don't give me that nonsense about, it's just kids revolting against authority, trying to push boundaries. Nonsense. Stop it. He's trying to, sort of give them more benefit of the doubt than they're owed. And it dilutes the message. That's number one. Number two, Israel hasn't draped itself in glory over the last 20 years. Oh, because they're a Goliath instead of a David? Are they supposed to be the underdog? Are they supposed to play the role of the underdog to terrorist organizations and Islamo-fascist states in the Middle East? What does that mean? Also nonsense. We're supposed to, maintain this role where we're perceived as the underdog, even as we build up to protect ourselves. And if that means that the balance of power has shifted in our direction, good. Because we're the upholder of civilization, and the enemies that seek our elimination are not. I want Israel to be the favorite, not the underdog. Don't you, Professor? I'm sure he does. So stop using weasel words and providing and making any concessions to these barbarians you see on college campuses and the streets and outside of Pagliacci Schumer's home. Now, when he starts talking about identitarian politics, the oppressor and the oppressed, and the professorate's responsibility in promoting that poison, now we're getting somewhere. Len in Highland Park, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning. I think every kid that is on a visa should be deported, and Amy loves the Breakfast Club. For the Americans that are protesting, they should be forced to sit in a situation like in the Breakfast Club with, I can't remember the name of the teacher, but all forced to read the Quran for every Saturday for the rest of the semester, because that's where it's all at. And especially about the part about lying in wait. And it just drives me nuts that there's no major news network that mentions the Quran. I don't know if they're too afraid to say it, that word, but it's all in there. It's diabolical. And you're not fighting one country, one terrorist group. You're fighting a religious philosophy. And that's what I got this morning.
Well, thanks for the call. I mean, obviously there are peaceful pluralist Muslims. Many of them reside in America, thankfully. So, you know, that's not the issue as much as it is the Islamists, and particularly the Islamist terrorist sympathizers.
These are sympathizers. Most of the protesters and the people living in the encampments aren't Palestinian, aren't Muslims. They're radicalized students who are Americans who think, you know what, let's do this. It's the cool thing to do right now. I don't know how Hamas and pro-Palestinians won the PR war, but they did.
Well, it's a PR war. I don't think that's a phrase that's used. I don't think so. I don't think that captures it. I don't think the professor exactly has it either. I think he's traveling down the road when he gets on the discussion of identitarian politics, as I said. That is the source of the mind rot. But I mean, I want people to think about that. That Columbia student, Columbia, we are Hamas, Zionist pig. I mean, that is a lot of hate that has been ginned up from somewhere. I think that requires more thinking and discussing about that. That is a kind of, backwater ignorance that you wouldn't maybe expect. I mean, maybe now we've come to expect it, but certainly a generation ago, you wouldn't expect at the Ivy League or any college campus. Did you see what was happening at Cal Poly Humboldt?
Yeah.
Did you see that? I mean, they have the, first of all, they're all masked up, because
I think to hide their identity, but you think because they're brainwashed.
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, they're brainwashed on so many levels, and everything is symbolic, right?
Yeah, and they took over a building, and then they tried to advance further in the building, and the police are there to stop them.
Police in riot gear, and they're hitting a police officer with an empty, big Hinkley water bottle.
Yeah.
And pushing back. Now, they're trying to push to get them out of whatever building they were in, and they're pushing back. I mean, it was violent. I mean, they all could have been arrested for battery of a police officer. Of course, none of them will be.
Looked like an insurrection to me.
I mean, so really internalize what you're seeing. Think about what you're seeing and what you're hearing, and where you're hearing it, from whom you're hearing it and seeing it.
But it's all organized. It's all orchestrated. I mean, here they are. They're all scream at the same time. And here they are. Get your phone out.
Yeah. Okay.
And then they're hitting that water bottle, and then the table.
Yeah. Okay. So what if it's orchestrated, or in part orchestrated? Think about. I mean, there's no question. There's over-the-top support. I mean, these Students for Justice in Palestine chapters have been on college campuses for generations, and they're financed. Money's coming from somewhere, not just activity fees.
Right.
So, but I mean, this is treated as it's just a thing that we go through, like the 60s and the war protests and the civil rights movement, and this is just a 21st century iteration of it. I don't think so. This is something that is much more disturbing and damaging. And to just sort of give it the eye roll, back of the hand, college campuses, the Ivy League, or Berkeley and so on and so forth. We've seen this act before. No, not exactly. I don't think so. We haven't seen it. It's a new act. It's a new act that's a product of a new political culture. I mean, it's on a continuum, yes, over the last 60 years, but this is a more virulent strain than anything we've seen before. Bill and Glen Ellen.
Yeah, I want to know at what point will Jewish Americans completely divest themselves of the Democrat Party? And it's not just that, because when they donate to these left-wing groups for the environment, for whatever, those groups are the ones who are spending money to support the groups supporting these idiots on these college campuses. When are they going to wake up and realize the Democrat Party, since it was founded, has been anti-Jewish, and they've just been hiding it for the last 100 years or so, and now it's finally bubbling to the surface. Or they think they have enough power where they don't have to hide it anymore.
Thanks for the call, Bill. Well, Dershowitz is divested, finally. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. It's not going to be in mass. It's going to be a individual decision. It's tough to... What did that professor say? It's easy to fool Americans. It's tough to get them to acknowledge they've been fooled. I think that's pretty accurate. Will and Skokie.
Hey, how you doing? Remember the old, what was it, Cultural Revolution in China, where the students supposedly rose up? That was actually supported by the Communist Party. They wanted to get rid of the wafflers in the Communist Party. The same thing here. The Biden administration is staffed primarily by Obama third-term people, and they're running the government, not our president. And what happens is you notice that they are not cracking down on this. These guys are acting totally wrong, but yet the administration and the college administration and the police and everything, they're being held back because this is all about power. This is all about using the students as helpful idiots to support the Biden administration's real agenda. And just look at what happened with the Cultural Revolution in China. It's the same thing. The students are rising up. It looks like it's a grassroots things of the intelligentsia, trying to purge, the non-supporters. And that's what this is all about.
Thanks for the call, Will. All right, coming up at 6:36, more files from Western dystopia, unfortunately. The Aussies, the latest to try to imprison, as one politician suggested, Elon Musk for not complying with their censorship demands. 6:36.
And Dan, game on. Let's paint our catalytic converter. We'll explain, but now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
6:33, 39 degrees in Chicago. And President Biden preparing to sign a new foreign aid bill into law today.
The Senate stepped up with strong bipartisan support last night to pass the foreign aid package. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer.
Tonight we tell our allies, we stand with you. We tell our adversaries, don't mess with us.
The bill passed last weekend in the House will funnel billions to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan, as well as humanitarian aid for Gaza and elsewhere. Minority Leader Mitch McConnell before the vote.
This is an extremely important day in the history of our country and of the free world.
The package also requires TikTok's Chinese owner to sell the app or get banned in the U.S. President Biden says he will sign the bill. Carmen Roberts, Fox News.
A bill allowing Tennessee teachers to carry guns in schoolrooms headed to the governor's desk.
In a 68-28 vote, the Tennessee House of Representatives approved a bill to allow one school employee per every 75 students to carry concealed handguns on site. It also bars revealing who is carrying, but districts and local law enforcement agencies would have to approve the individuals. Supporters argue it can prevent gun violence a little over a year after a shooter opened fire at a Christian school in Nashville, killing 3 children and 3 adults before being killed by police. Democrats and 4 Republicans who oppose the bill, which previously passed the state Senate, say it's not a solution and only aims to appeal to Republicans' donors in the gun industry. It heads to Tennessee Governor Bill Lee's desk. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
The Texas Supreme Court putting a hold on a guaranteed income program approved in the city of Houston. City of Baltimore moving forward following the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge last month. A deeper channel will open Thursday to allow commercial ships in and out of the port of Baltimore. The off-duty killing of Chicago police officer Luis Huesca is being classified as a line-of-duty death. Funeral services will be held next Monday at St. Rita Catholic Church, while a wake takes place Sunday at the Blake Lamb Funeral Home in Oak Lawn. No one is in custody following a deadly shooting on Chicago's South Side. Police found a man with a single gunshot wound last night in the 6700 block of South Chapel. He was taken to the hospital, where he later died. The Bears are set to announce a new plan for a dome stadium along the lakefront. Chicago Tribune reporting the team will ask taxpayers statewide to foot the bill for more than half of the $4.6 billion project. And we're hearing this morning from Northwest Indiana, due to excessive teacher call-ins, calling off of work, the entire school district in the city of Hammond will close today. School is canceled at all locations. There will be no e-learning, and according to the district, the day will be made up at a future date. Chicago sports. Cubs over the Astros 7-2, while the Twins were 6-5 winners over the White Sox. The news is powered by CharlesEquipment.com. Be prepared for any outdoor event in any season in Chicago. Prepare ahead for unpredictable weather with industrial generators from Charles Equipment. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager explains yet another line of flawed logic.
The latest is about the American Medical Association declaring that medicine is imbued with white supremacy. I didn't know that. American Medical Association, like the entire medical establishment, has been taken over by the anti-American, anti-truth, anti-goodness left. And this is what happens.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. In the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. The ugly truth is when you buy a timeshare, you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. I recently helped a couple that had their maintenance fees go from $800 to $3,200 a year. They also received a $4,000 assessment for a hurricane that was over 1,000 miles away. Sound crazy? The crazy thing is this never ends. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. Call 800-349-8877. That's 800-349-8877. 800-349-8877.
Can peace of mind fit into just 3 fruits and 3 veggie supplements? Yes. We start by sourcing the best fruit and vegetable ingredients. We ensure that all our produce meets our rigorous standards in order to give you the highest quality product possible. They are then washed, cut, and put through an advanced vacuum-cooled process that removes the water using pressure. We then take great care in grinding them into a fine powder. These powdered ingredients are then mixed and encapsulated, locking out air and moisture. The capsules are then bottled and shipped right to your door so you can experience your own personal Balance of Nature success story.
I've looked at other supplements out there, and they don't have what Balance of Nature has.
Balance of Nature really was the game changer. I'm serious, it works.
Go to balanceofnature.com and get 35% off plus $10 off any additional sets as a preferred customer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Everyone knows the old saying, nothing lasts forever. Well, whoever said that obviously never bought a timeshare. Not only do your maintenance fees and assessment fees go on forever, they go up forever. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Over 10 years ago, I was a timeshare salesman. But once I saw the dark side of the business,
I quit. I started helping folks get out of their timeshares. Since then, we've helped over 30,000 families by getting them out of bad timeshares. If your timeshare agreement goes on forever, if you were told timeshares are a great investment, or your maintenance fees will never go up, you have questions, we have the answers. Give us a call. I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call Wesley now for your free information kit. 800-839-8484. That's 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code EARN for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill-up. That's promo code EARN.
6:40, let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time is a service of Summit Racing Equipment. It's Car Care Month. Summit Racing has what you need for bumper-to-bumper care. Revive the interior, exterior, under the hood, and more. Shop summitracing.com. Use promo code RADIO for $10 off an order of $100 or more. Eden's right now, 30 minutes Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy, well, we'll call it 1 hour. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Stevenson at 45, 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Dan Ryan, 23, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Stop and go on the Reagan I-88 right now between Roosevelt and the Tri-State. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Mostly sunny, breezy, and chilly with a high near 48, partly cloudy, chilly. Potential frost overnight, low 34. In our ReviveYourLawn.com Weather Center, cloudy and 39 at O'Hare, 40 at Midway, and 40 in Aurora. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560. The Answer.
All right, treat the mom in your life to a very special Mother's Day brunch at the Trump Hotel in Chicago on Sunday, May 12th. Enjoy a buffet-style feast with live entertainment and complimentary champagne while seated along the city skyline. For a chance to win tickets, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to go to 560theanswer.com, keyword mother. That's 560theanswer.com, keyword mother, and good luck.
All right. Before we get to Twitter Files Australia, the latest country to attempt to direct what will and will not be allowed on Elon Musk's Twitter/X platform, I did want to make good on our promise to review what President Trump had to say in response to all that we were just talking about, all of this unrest and ugliness and anti-Semitic bigotry on the campuses of universities across the country. Here's what his plans are if he is once again elected president. Take a listen.
The time has come to reclaim our once great educational institutions from the radical left, and we will do that. Our secret weapon will be the college accreditation system. It's called accreditation for a reason. The accreditors are supposed to ensure that schools are not ripping off students and taxpayers, but they have failed totally. When I return to the White House, I will fire the radical left accreditors that have allowed our colleges to become dominated by Marxist maniacs and lunatics. We will then accept applications for new accreditors who will impose real standards on colleges once again and once and for all. These standards will include defending the American tradition and Western civilization, protecting free speech, eliminating wasteful administrative positions that drive up costs incredibly, removing all Marxist diversity, equity, and inclusion bureaucrats, offering options for accelerated and low-cost degrees, providing meaningful job placement and career services, and implementing college entrance and exit exams to prove that students are actually learning and getting their money's worth. Furthermore, I will direct the Department of Justice to pursue federal civil rights cases against schools that continue to engage in racial discrimination and schools that persist in explicit, unlawful discrimination under the guise of equity will not only have their endowments taxed, but through budget reconciliation, I will advance a measure to have them fined up to the entire amount of their endowment. A portion of the seized funds will then be used as restitution for victims of these illegal and unjust policies that hurt our country so badly. Colleges have gotten hundreds of billions of dollars from hardworking taxpayers, and now we are going to get this anti-American insanity out of our institutions once and for all.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah, I mean, you have to impose punishment for this illiberalism on campuses. That's exactly right.
Takeover.
And what you do is you go after endowments and accreditation too. It's a little bit more complicated, I think, than Trump lays out. But I mean, this is a vision statement, a policy direction. So the accreditation agencies are regional and they're NGOs, but there is DOE, Department of Education, oversight there. And so I think through the administrative state, essentially, if you don't want to eliminate the Department of Education altogether, which is a good idea, that you can at least attempt to impose your will. And obviously you talk about taxing endowments. That's the composition of Congress is going to matter there. So he's going to need majorities in the House and the Senate and some real leadership to drive that sort of policy, when I'm sure there's going to be a lot of weak-kneed legislators, including Republicans, who don't want their alma mater or the college in their district harmed financially in any way. But I like the direction that Trump is taking, the angle. And then the other piece of it, too, is essentially what he's saying there with respect to directing the DOJ to pursue illegal discrimination cases as it pertains to admissions or just general administration at some of these universities, particularly on the admissions side. Well, that's essentially saying we're going to enforce. It's one thing for the Supreme Court to hold an opinion that it held in the Harvard admissions case and say this is what the law means, but it needs to be enforced. And my Department of Justice is going to enforce that decision. So good for him.
I want to say one more thing, too, before we move on. They're allowing that encampment to exist for 48 hours more at Columbia University.
Of course they are.
I mean, they arrested about 100 more people yesterday, but they're letting them stay there in their tents.
They're arresting them. They're turning them. I mean, they're releasing them without charges. Right. They're going right back. They're unsuspending students who were suspended. The point is this. Of course they are. How did we get to this place? This is part of the conversation. This is part of understanding. It's what Shelby Steele has been writing about for 50 years. Deference. The culture of deference to the illiberal, to the barbarian, to put it in no uncertain terms. The cultural Marxist is the cultural barbarian, and these institutions are rotten with them, and there is nothing but deference. There is no moral authority. No one claims to have any moral authority. Everybody's living their truth. Everybody's identity matters. Their behavior doesn't. Defer, defer, defer. We make no distinction between civilization and barbarism. Well, then you're going to get barbarism. Then you're going to get might makes right, or whoever beats the pickle bucket the loudest. All right. Well, I want to get to Elon Musk too on this, because this is again Western civilization attacking Western civilization. And I know the Australians don't don't quite have the same tradition as we do in founding documents. Nobody does. Same commitment to individual liberty. But it's still something to hear, really. I mean, this is arguably as bad or worse than the treatment that Brazil is trying to impose on Elon Musk and X, as we talked about last week, through their Supreme Court. You will cater to our demands on what will and will not be allowed on your platform, or we're going to fine you. And according to one state senator in Australia, if they could, we're going to imprison you.
Oh, my God.
Here's the issue. On Twitter, there was an attack. Well, not an attack, but there was an attack on a Christian bishop during a sermon in Australia by a Muslim Islamist extremist.
Everybody said that went viral. That
Right, of course. So the Australian government wanted it taken down.
The video of the attack after everybody saw it? Okay.
Well, regardless, they wanted it taken down, and Elon Musk said no. In fact, they said this. This was the official statement. Tragic event. We do not allow people to praise it or call for further violence, but there's a public conversation happening about the event on X and across Australia, as is often the case when events of major public concern occur. While X respects the right of a country to enforce its laws within its jurisdiction, the e-safety commissioner, and boy, by the way, I mean, does that tell you everything you need to know? Australia has an e-safety commissioner. It's always safety. The safetyists, the Marxists, the Orwellians, the central planners, these are synonymous terms. The e-safety commissioner does not have the authority to dictate what content X users can see globally, but Australia disagrees, right? Not just that you should cater to their demands, the government, but that their standard should be the global standard. We will robustly challenge this unlawful and dangerous approach in court. Global takedown orders go against the very principles of a free and open internet and threaten free speech everywhere. And the threat is multivariate. One, the e-safety commissioner said that if Musk didn't remove the post, they'd fine X $500,000 a day.
Oh, my God.
For removing a post that does not violate Twitter's rules, but the Aussies don't like it. Here's what Anthony Albanese, who is the PM, had to say about Musk during a Sky News interview.
I want to ask you about Elon Musk. He's mocked you this morning for choosing censorship and propaganda over free speech and truth. What's your response to that?
Well, this is a bloke who's chosen ego and showing violence over common sense. I think that Australians will shake their head when they think that this billionaire is prepared to go to court fighting for the right to sow division and to show violent videos, which are very distressing. He is in social media, but he has a social responsibility in order to have that social licence. And what has occurred here is that the e-safety commissioner has made very sensible suggestions. Other social media companies have complied without complaint. But this bloke thinks he's above the Australian law, that he's above common decency. And I tell you what, I say to Elon Musk that he is so out of touch with what the Australian public want. This has been a distressing time. And I find this bloke on the other side of the world, from his billionaires' establishments, trying to lecture Australians about free speech. Well, I won't cop it, and Australians won't either.
So what happens if the vision in question here isn't taken down?
Well, of course, there is a court order has been put in place. It's a sensible proposition. No one is above the law. Not Elon Musk, not any Australian citizen, when it comes to operating here in Australia. He has a business that gives him a lot of profit, and I just find it extraordinary that this bloke thinks he's above the law and above common decency. This shouldn't be a matter of the law. It should be a matter of people doing the right thing.
What you just heard there is what fascism in the 21st century sounds like. All dressed up with phrases like common decency and no one is above the law, what the people want, safety. That's the new lexicon of the fascist. And there are other iterations of it, too. A senator in Australia named Jackie Lambie, she doesn't use the sanitized language as much as the PM. She's not quite as polished. She's a little bit more direct.
So when it comes to the tech billionaire, like I've already said, I think he's a social media knob with no social conscience. He has absolutely no social conscience. Someone like that should be in jail and the key be thrown away. That bloke should not have a right to be out there on his own ideology platform and creating hatred, showing all this stuff out there to our kids and doing all the rest. I'm very interested to watch what the US is going to do with TikTok and how far that they can do. We're trying to get rid of that platform as well. So I think we're all watching on the United States at the moment to see what they're doing. But seriously, if we can move, and if that means in the next sitting that we can shut him down from doing this.
He was just displaying what happened.
He didn't do anything.
Anything wrong at all.
No. He didn't display
not blaming
anything.
The man with the weapon that went after the pastor. They're not saying it's his fault. It's Elon Musk's fault. No, it's not.
He didn't display anything.
No.
But this is the point. We don't like that content. We don't want this conversation. This does not comport with the orthodoxy of the beautiful lies that we tell the public and we tell them about them. And so it needs to be expunged. And if we can't expunge the content, we'll expunge the person platforming it. Right. Yeah. That's what you heard from Albanese in particular, the Australian Prime Minister. Just remember how he explained his position with respect to this controversy that they've created. And see how closely it mirrors the rhetoric you hear from the leftists in this country. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Baseball and softball season will be starting soon at fields everywhere. I'm not talking about those overpriced professional palaces with the prima donnas. I'm talking about the neighborhood where the kids, Little League fields, their family, their fathers, their coaches will all be out in the sun. There's a company in Bridgeview, PYT Sports, that's working with volunteer coaches, Little League managers, and dads. Good, hardworking guys that want to help their kids and friends have a good time this summer instead of getting into trouble on the streets. PYT Sports has all the stuff you'll need to furnish dugouts and more. 2-tiered benches, helmet racks, bat racks, and individual player storage. Plus, windscreens and wall pads. Even field tarps to protect from rain so you're ready for game time. Check out the popular Field General, Commander, and Trooper helmet and bat combos to make your dugout look like the pros. Go to pytsports.net. That's pytsports.net. And get ready for a great baseball season. Play ball!
AM 560, The Answer.
All right. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll talk J6. Fascinating conversation between a J6 defendant, actually convict, and Alexandra Pelosi, Nancy's kid, the documentarian. We'll have a portion of that phone call, and we'll discuss that with Julie Kelly, as well as the latest on the Trump trials, particularly the trials that Jack Smith is lording over, the J6 and the classified docs cases. That's at 7:07.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott back on camera.
A man killed in a South Side shooting, and suitors emerged to buy Oberweis dairy. Cubs rally to beat the Astros, and WIND Chicago News Time, 7 o'clock.
They have more time to take down an encampment. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News at Columbia University, where protesters face a midnight deadline that's been extended in New York City.
Pro-Palestinian student demonstrators claim the university threatened to call in the National Guard to clear out the lawn, but now we're gearing up to see these protesters camped out for at least 2 more days. The university tells us the students have agreed to a series of concessions, including removing a significant number of tents and people not affiliated with Columbia University from the encampment.
Fox's CB Cotton at Columbia. There are also protests planned at college campuses today from California to Texas to Maryland, and they won't like what the Senate did last night.
To our friends in Israel, America will soon deliver aid to help you fight the scourge of Hamas and stand up to Iran.
Democratic Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, after a 79-18 vote, advancing a $95 billion foreign aid package. Almost 2/3 of it would be weapons, ammo, and other aid for Ukraine's war against Russia, which some Republicans adamantly oppose. Also in that bill, a mandate for TikTok, the social media app that could be outlawed in the U.S.
And now the company that owns TikTok, ByteDance, which the FBI director said just yesterday is beholden to the Chinese government, has to sell it within 9 months with a possible 3-month extension if a sale is in progress. Otherwise, in the U.S., it is banned outright.
Fox's Peter Ducey at the White House. There are new regulations to help airline passengers. The Biden administration announced this morning.
One of the rules will require airlines to give automatic cash refunds to travelers whose flights are canceled or significantly changed, instead of forcing passengers to request refunds and receive a travel credit or voucher.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. Another rule requires airlines to be transparent about fees, showing the full price of a ticket. Today, the Justice Department will meet the families of victims of 2 deadly Boeing 737 MAX jet crashes in 2018 and 19. Boeing initially got immunity from federal criminal prosecution. America's listening to Fox News.
Skies are gray, 39 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Due to excessive call-offs by teachers today, school district in Hammond, Indiana is unable to staff buildings, all of their buildings, and they're canceling school at all locations. There will be no e-learning today, and that date will be made up in the future. Off-duty killing of Chicago police officer Luis Huesca is being classified as a line-of-duty death. Meantime, funeral services are set next Monday at St. Rita Church in Chicago, and the wake takes place Sunday at Blake Lamb Funeral Home in Oak Lawn. Authorities are investigating a violent home invasion on Chicago's South Side. 2 male offenders were seen entering a home along South Carpenter, and inside, 2 female victims and 1 male victim were attacked. As the attackers were running away, one suffered a gunshot wound. He's hospitalized in critical condition. No one is in custody following a deadly shooting on the South Side. Police found a man with a single gunshot wound last night in the 6700 block of South Chapel. The Bears are set to announce today plans for a new dome stadium. The Tribune says the team is asking taxpayers statewide to foot the bill for more than half of that $4.6 billion project. And interest is growing to purchase Oberweis Dairy after the company filed for bankruptcy. The president of the North Aurora-based company says the owner of Dutch Farms has made a strong bid to buy all the operating assets of Oberweis. Financial terms of the deal were not disclosed. Hoffman Family Companies in Winnetka has also emerged as a possible suitor. Cubs score early and often in a 7-2 win over the Astros at Wrigley. Mike Tauchman, 2 home runs. Twins came through in the clutch, beat the slumping White Sox 6-5. Worst team in baseball is on a 5-game losing streak. The news, a service of ReviveYourLawn.com. Don't DIY, RYL. Revive Your Lawn with the landscape and design experts. Outdoor patios and kitchens, hardscapes, and more. Get an instant online estimate today at ReviveYourLawn.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk sees another reach from the White House.
The Biden administration is proposing a sweeping initiative to slash student debt for nearly 30 million Americans. The proposal marks a major new White House effort to appeal to progressive and younger voters. What is this actually what Joe Biden is doing? This is naked bribery.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Larry Nora, founder and CEO of You Store It, a network of award-winning self-storage facilities in the Chicago area, and a customer of Signature Bank. We've developed over 70 storage centers throughout the city and suburbs, and our business continues to grow. We need a bank who understands the neighborhoods and communities where we are making investments. We found that in Signature Bank. They know this city and its neighborhoods because they are based right here in Chicago. Finding a local banking institution like Signature Bank has been critical to the success of You Store It, and we look forward to a long-term relationship.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Don't let everyday aches and pains keep you from living your best life.
I don't think I really understood what people meant when they talked about pain until I started feeling it myself.
Start feeling better every day with Relief Factor, a daily supplement designed to support your body's fight against aches and pains.
Not only do I move better without pain, I just feel better.
Created by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that target 4 metabolic pathways to address pain. Relief Factor doesn't just mask aches and pains, it helps reduce or even eliminate them.
Today, I do the things I love, and it doesn't occur to me to think about pain.
You can feel the difference all day, every day.
Join the over 1 million people who have tried Relief Factor's 3-week Quick Start Kit. It's only $19.95. Visit relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF. And feel the difference of Relief Factor.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
My name is Dr. Zhang. I'm a doctor of podiatric medicine.
My name is Todd. I'm a paramedic firefighter. I've been on the job for 28 years.
My name is Dr. Peter Munda. I'm a chiropractor in New York, Long Island.
I've been taking Balance of Nature for 23 years.
I love Balance of Nature, and this is definitely a product that I would recommend to other people, and I'll never stop taking it.
How many 70-year-old pitchers you know? As far as Balance of Nature goes, I'll keep taking this stuff until the day I die, you know?
I'm almost 55 years old, and because I have so much vitality, I can really enjoy the great outdoors. Our bodies are kind of like machines. If you do not give the machine the proper nutrition, it's not going to work very well. Simple as that.
Go to balanceofnature.com and get 35% off plus $10 off any additional sets as a preferred customer by using discount code Chicago.
7:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Inbound Edens, 35 Lake Cook Road to the junction. It's an hour 5 on the Kennedy inbound into the Circle. Stevenson in 50 minutes into DuSable Lakeshore Drive from I-355. And the Dan Ryan at 30 minutes, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Tri-State this morning jamming up northbound between the Reagan and the Ike Merge. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast in our ReviveYourLawn.com Weather Center. Here's Steve Williams.
Today, mostly sunny, breezy, chilly day. The high today at 48. Partly cloudy, chilly tonight. Might want to wrap up those plants again. Low 34. Sunny to partly cloudy, warmer day tomorrow. High tomorrow 59. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
Right now, 39 and clouds at O'Hare. Your next news update is 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So I got wind of this call between Alexandra Pelosi and J6 defendant Greg Rubinacher through Julie Kelly's Twitter feed. Julie Kelly will join us momentarily. But this call is really interesting. Alexandra Pelosi, yes, that's Nancy Pelosi's daughter. She's the documentarian in the family.
How's her dad doing?
And his friends? I don't know. Yeah, good question.
He doesn't
Sort of the
drive
same
drunk
question.
anymore.
Well, the same question I have for Paul Pelosi that I had for John Wayne Bobbitt. How's the penis? So
I've investigated that, and I'll have an update for you later.
Yeah,
I actually you gave me a challenge, and I took it.
All right, add Paul Pelosi to that list too.
Okay, thanks.
So Alexandra Pelosi is apparently going to do, or she's attempting to do a documentary about January 6th.
Good.
So she wants to talk to those who have been charged and, in Rubinacher's case, convicted and sentenced to 41 months in prison. Listen to the exchange, though. Remember, Alexandra Pelosi, she's not just Nancy Pelosi's daughter. She's also a woman of the left. So it's not like this is an offspring that revolted against the parents' political ideology. No. But listen.
Don't call me back. Yeah. So, yeah, I got so much for me being, having any power or any access or anything. I can't get anybody to call me back. Yeah, I don't know why this video. I mean, I want to see all the video. I want to see every and all video because video doesn't lie. Video tells the truth.
Yeah, I mean, does this make sense to you? Anything make sense to you from what I told you and the government side?
Well, I got to tell you a couple things. One, you got a liberal judge. She is out for blood, that lady. Now, I think I learned in kindergarten that justice is supposed to be fair. A judge is supposed to be the same.
Bipartisan.
Judges are, and they're not supposed to be political, and they're not supposed to bring politics to it. And even though presidents appoint judges, they're not supposed to be political. And now it's one judge you get really makes a difference because some judges are giving probation and other ones are giving full jail time. So for the same exact offense, literally the same exact offense. Now, that is wrong, and that is not what people think is justice. Justice was supposed to be blind, remember? But, okay, so that's okay. I know I sound amateur by saying that, but ooh, it's political. You're surprised? Yes, I'm surprised. There was this one guy in Texas who was told, you can go home, you get probation. And then, because, you're just like all those Black Lives Matter protesters in the summer. Then on Monday, your judge came in and said, no, it's not like that at all. You're going to jail because you're bad. And so it's, the same offense, and different judges are using the opportunity to make it political. So I think that's really weird. And I think that people would be surprised to know that. But yours is particularly egregious because it's so long. The sentence is so long. It doesn't make sense to me. And it's not like anybody talks to me and I can get any answers from anybody about anything. Because you think I have all this kind of information, but I got nothing. Nobody's telling me anything. No one's showing me any videos. I do get people to leak me videos, but they're lawyers for people. I haven't called your lawyer and asked him to leak it to me because he's going to say no. But I try to get lawyers to leak me footage. You know how they have that database that all the footage is in? I have a guy who I told to leak me your footage, and he's like, okay, I have to put it on a thumb drive, and I have to sneak it to you somehow, like that. But I'm still hoping that he's going to do it. I'm not 100% sure because he doesn't want to get in trouble. Because if he downloads all the footage and he's not your lawyer, they may be like, why were you downloading that footage? Anyway, so I haven't seen any footage. I'm in the dark on all of this.
Even if only Alexandra Pelosi knew someone that could help fill in some of the blanks for her.
Mom.
I mean,
Mom, are you out there? It's Mother's Day soon.
How about that phone call?
Oh,
wow.
My goodness. Wow.
And it was like watching a baby take its first step. Wait, what? I used to think that judges were supposed to be fair and non-political, but this seems like it's political.
Welcome to the party.
Yeah, I mean, it's just wonderful to see those first steps. Okay. I mean, you got to leave room for people to come over to your side. So if Alexandra Pelosi wants to have an epiphany on this, I'm all for it. Julie Kelly is, you can find her writings and really journalism at Declassified with Julie Kelly. And she's also the author of the book January 6th, How Democrats Used the Capitol Protest to Launch a War on Terror Against the Political Right. Maybe, Julie, you should send a signed copy of your book to Alexandra Pelosi. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
I think I will. Maybe I'll send her some of the surveillance video that I have, and she can dig through it and look for interesting things, but I doubt it.
Yeah, she doesn't have the connects that you have, apparently. It's remarkable. Well, I can't get my hands on videos. I can't get anybody to call me back. Gosh, that's really strange coming from somebody with the last name Pelosi and with a track record in Democrat politics, basically.
Well, there's something even more nefarious that she was doing. And at the time, as you'll recall, and we talked about this, all of the surveillance video related to January 6th, the tens of thousands of hours of video captured by security cameras, they were all under protective orders. So what she was actually trying to do is get this kid, he was 22 or 23 on January 6th. He doesn't know what the heck's going on. He's got a public defender. He ended up pleading guilty to 10 offenses, including obstruction of an official proceeding, got 41 months in jail. So what she was really trying to do is get this kid to give her the surveillance video, that's evidence in his case that would have broken a protective order and gotten him in even more trouble by this horrific judge he had, Beryl Howell, who was the chief judge of the D.C. District Court at the time. So it's even more nefarious what she was trying to do. And her, good cop, oh, gee, I'm so sorry. They're going to the gulag. My mom is responsible for it, but, here's my crocodile tears. Give me a break.
Well, do you have footage of Greg Rubenecker, and do you know what he actually did on January 6th?
So he went inside the Capitol. He didn't break any windows or break in. He went in after that first breach around 2:15, wandered around. He was in the rotunda. I think he might have lit up a joint or smoked a joint with someone else. Not the worst thing that happens in the U.S. Capitol building.
Well, we know what happened in the Senate chamber, yes. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, he acted badly, and then got in, several people got in scrums with police who were in the rotunda gassing protesters at about 3:30. So at any rate, I'm not defending his behavior, but it also shouldn't result in 10 federal criminal charges, pretrial detention, and then 41 months in a federal prison, for which he finally is in a halfway house, and that's how I got that audio from him. He's broke, he's homeless, his father passed away, he has no money. So, he's trying to get back on his feet. And that was what Alexandra Pelosi was trying to exploit, quite frankly.
Yeah, right. I mean, you can't take that in light most favorable to Alexandra Pelosi, of course. But I mean, but you still, I mean, it's great to have that audio because you still hold her to account for her words and what she said. Requires a lot of follow-up questions to be asked if you could get anybody to answer them, including her. But with respect to the judge, Beryl Howell, in this case you just mentioned, an Obama appointee, the reason she imposed 41 months is because the death penalty was not available. This is someone who is imposing some of the more draconian sentences in these cases generally, isn't it?
She is, and if I could write an entire book on Beryl Howell and how she really represents the cancer of the rot and the corruption of Washington, D.C.'s legal and judicial system, she is responsible. She was the chief judge dating back to 2014, as you said, an Obama appointee. She was the chief judge that presided over the Mueller probe, allowed all of the grand jury proceedings and the subpoenas, et cetera. But then January 6th came. She actually established an entire separate set of guidance about how her fellow judges could deny bail for January 6th protesters only. So when we talk about political protesters or political prisoners, this is accurate because she actually wrote out an entire order that said if they belonged to a so-called militia group, if they assaulted police, if they made advanced travel plans with a group to go to D.C., This is part of the insurrection. They were part of this mob that tried to overthrow democracy, yada, yada. And you can deny their release even if they're not accused of violent behavior, even if they were charged with something like conspiracy or obstruction of an official proceeding. So she is the one, unfortunately, that Greg Rubenacker got, threw the book at him, and, she is continuing to impose harsh prison sentences to this day. She's not chief judge anymore, but she's still a sitting judge against J6ers.
So last week we heard oral arguments with respect to 1512, the section of the statute of interruption of an official proceeding that is the charge in so many of these cases, including Trump's January 6th case, not solely that charge, but included in hundreds of these cases, including President Trump's J6 indictment. And it seemed like the court, particularly Gorsuch, pretty skeptical of the state's position that provision of the Sarbanes-Oxley Act is applicable in these cases. So we have the prospect that hundreds of convictions are more likely than not to be overturned, don't we?
Yes, we do. So this is 1512C2, as you said, part of the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, obstruction of an official proceeding. And this is the carve-out of 1512, as you guys know. This is the criminal statute that deals with tampering with witnesses, tampering with evidence. This is a records-destroying part of the statute, i.e. Arthur Anderson and the Enron scandal. But this DOJ has weaponized it to criminalize political dissent. They've charged it against more than 350 defendants, including Greg Rubenacker, which was the justification for the 41 months in prison. This is driving this obstruction statute because it's punishable by up to 20 years in prison. So this is driving these excessive sentences, even for individuals who have no other crime except a few misdemeanors. Mm-hmm. So yes, to your point, it was gratifying, encouraging to hear the majority of the justices anyway, admonish U.S. Solicitor General Elizabeth Prelogar, representing the government, about how DOJ has intentionally misinterpreted that statute and applied it and turned these people into lifelong felons. So we're hoping we get a positive decision on that within the next, 4, 6, 8 weeks. And yes, it will cause chaos. And guess who warned about the chaos, Dan and Amy?
Who?
Beryl Howell a few months ago said we have to prepare this court for this summer because if the Supreme Court comes back and reverses in the case of Fisher versus the USA, we are going to be inundated with requests to vacate sentences, release people from prison who are in jail right now on that obstruction count, and of course who have pending trials and sentences related to that count as well.
Well, right, and hopefully, if and when those convictions are overturned, then they'll turn right around and they'll make that Nassar settlement that the Department of Justice just agreed to, $138 million for 139 victims for the FBI's mishandling of the Nassar molestation cases. Will make that look like pocket change with all these defendants that have civil action against the Department of Justice.
I really hope so, because I will tell you, watching these line prosecutors and these judges, including Beryl Howell, so you have 17 or 18 D.C. federal judges of all stripes, Trump appointees down to Clinton, Obama, and Reagan appointees, believe it or not, who have given their imprimatur to the DOJ's abuse of this obstruction count. Only one judge, Carl Nichols, a Trump appointee, was the one who dismissed this count, and that's how it eventually got to the Supreme Court. But this will represent such an unprecedented, really, black eye, not just to the DOJ, but to the federal courts in Washington. There has to be some repercussions for this. We cannot allow them to destroy lives of people on an obstruction count that they knew they were abusing, and the courts knew that they were abusing. But they had to support the J6 insurrection narrative. They had to punish these people. And so when that ruling comes down, if it is in favor of justice and the J6 defendants, we really have to demand that something be done. Mass resignations, retirements, and then, yes, hopefully some civil action against the DOJ and prosecutors who have done this.
And you think it'll come down soon, this summer?
Well, Amy, the Supreme Court term ends in June.
Right.
So, yes, as you know, so we're hoping that there will be some sort of decision. You know, it could take a little bit, but maybe 4 or 6 weeks before we get some news on that.
Now, the other federal case against Trump, the classified documents case, there were some documents recently released per order of Judge Cannon in that case that shed some light on the collective effort between Jack Smith and the Biden administration as it pertains to this case and prosecuting Trump more generally that you tweeted about. Can you illuminate us on those documents that were released?
Right. So this is the classified documents case, as you said, in southern Florida. This is Donald Trump and 2 co-defendants accused of taking national security defense information that jeopardizes the security of the country and then moving boxes around and trying to hide these papers from the FBI and federal agents and a grand jury. So Judge Cannon is acting like an actual judge, unlike the ones I just talked about or some that we see on the news recently, making sure to protect the due process rights of Donald Trump and make sure that Jack Smith is not getting away with what he wants to, which is basically concealed evidence in this case, not just from the defendants, but from the American people. So what was just unredacted this week, and it's on my Twitter X account, Julie_Kelly 2, is a motion that was heavily redacted, filed, and evidence filed in January by the defense. This has been a 3-month battle between the courts and the defense and, of course, Jack Smith, who wanted to keep most of this information under wraps. Judge Cannon said, no, I think this is something that the American people need to see. And, of course, what he was trying to cover up is early collusion between the Biden White House, the Department of Justice, the National Archives, and other parties to concoct some sort of documents case against Donald Trump as early as May of 2021, a few months after he left office. So what it debunks and what it exposes is the official story we were told that Donald Trump turned over these records to the National Archives in early 2022. In OG, the archivist saw classified papers there, and then he was all worried and alerted DOJ. That's how that began. No. This dated back months that they were trying to create some sort of case. And that's what the motion revealed, the unredacted motion, and a lot of the exhibits and evidence. So that's just another scandal from this dirty Department of Justice and especially Special Counsel Jack Smith.
How very Soviet of them. Julie Kelly, I get all of her writings and reportings at Declassify with Julie Kelly. Also, pick up her book if you haven't. January 6th, How Democrats Use the Capitol Protest to Launch a War on Terror Against the Political Right. Julie, thank you as always.
Thanks, Dana and Amy. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too. And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Homeschooling is becoming much more common these days. Children graduate at a higher rate, and a vast majority of homeschooled children go on to graduate college. But where do you start? How do you homeschool your children? Visit homeschools.org for an amazing homeschool curriculum with Christian values. Christian Liberty Homeschools is a pioneer of the modern homeschool movement and has helped thousands of families get started and succeed. With a Christian Liberty homeschool curriculum, school is on your time. It's flexible, allowing you to vacation whenever you want and making the world your classroom. Watch how your child's confidence soars as you stay in control of the content of your child's education, backed by a great support network. If you're ready to escape from the public school system and homeschool your child in good faith, visit homeschools.org today. Christian Liberty Homeschools, where your child's future is in great hands. That's homeschools.org.
All right, we're going to have another warm weekend, but are you going to be stuck inside because of pain in your back, in your hip, in your knee, in your shoulder, in your elbows? Don't let that stop you. Surgery, steroids, drugs, cortisone shots, these are no longer your best options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative treatments that deliver lasting results. We're talking about natural biologics, folks. using your body's own power to repair and restore damaged tissue. QC Kinetics is under the leadership of National Medical Director Dr. Mitchell Shinecup. Dr. Shinecup, he's really a pioneer in this field with 20 years of clinical work, research, teaching, and publishing. He wants to get you relief with a needle, not a knife. So call QC Kinetics now to learn more about some exciting options, a revolutionary approach that can get you long-term relief with no downtime. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. Appointments now available on Saturdays. The number to call is 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955. Get your life back. 312-809-5955.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Are you ready for an adventure of a lifetime? Journey with me, Mike Gallagher, and Dr. Sebastian Gorka on the Patriots Alaska cruise this summer. It's going to be an incredible opportunity to engage with other like-minded patriots on an epic 7-day cruise over 4th of July. Witness the untouched wilderness of Alaska while discussing America's future. Join Dr. Gorka and me, Mike Gallagher, from June 29th through July the 6th. Call 855-565-5519 or reserve online at patriotsalaskacruise.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:37, we'll find out how Steve Moore celebrated Earth Day. Stay tuned for that. We'll also talk to him about this argument that's being made up in Canada that it's better not to own a home. It's better play not to own a home. So much more freeing if you don't have any private property. 7:37.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
39 degrees at 7:32 on AM 560. The Answer. We're hearing House Speaker Mike Johnson will visit Columbia University today to meet with Jewish students. Columbia University has reached a deal overnight with students protesting the war in Gaza there, and now lawmakers in New York are calling for the resignation of Columbia University's president, citing the ongoing protest. Congresswoman Nicole Malatikis.
This president of the institution, President Shafiq, cannot keep her students safe, and they have to go to remote learning for the rest of the semester, is unacceptable. It shows that she cannot control her school, she cannot keep her students safe, and therefore she needs to resign.
Students at schools like Columbia, Yale, and NYU are calling on their administrators to divest from Israeli-affiliated companies. Early this morning, a statement from Columbia said the protesters are agreeing to remove some tents and delay possible police action. The FDA this morning says the bird flu virus has been detected in some samples of pasteurized milk. The FDA says, however, pasteurization is likely to inactivate the virus, though they're waiting on more testing. Tesla is reporting its lowest quarterly earnings since 2021. Despite the report, shares in the electric car company soared after hours after the automakers suggested more affordable models were on the way. Due to excessive call-offs and call-ins by teachers, schools in the entire city of Hammond are unable to staff buildings, and school is canceled at all locations today. There will be no e-learning, and the day will be made up at a future date. The off-duty killing of Chicago police officer Luis Huesca is being classified as a line-of-duty death. Meantime, funeral services are set for Monday at St. Rita Catholic Church, while a wake takes place Sunday at the Blake Lamb Funeral Home in Oak Lawn. Cubs 7-2 winners over the Astros, while the Twins were 6-5 winners over the White Sox. The news delivered by Quick Delivery Service. Visit quickdelivery.com when you need same-day delivery of your routes. Go to quickdelivery.com now to schedule your delivery. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka sees another cover-up.
Merrick Garland is refusing to release the audio of Special Counsel Robert Hur's deposition of Joe Biden on the illegally held classified documents that he kept for decades in his garage. You know, the one where he couldn't remember what year his son died or when he was vice president. Refusing to release.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Oh, the signs of spring are upon us. Birds are singing, crocuses are popping up, and your concrete is sinking. Permaseal can help with that. I'm Roy Spencer with Permaseal. As you start your spring cleaning, you'll likely see some cracked or sunken concrete, a sidewalk, stoop, driveway, or your patio. These problems will only get worse with time, but there is an easy solution. Our poly-level system can raise and level concrete quickly and effectively, putting an end to eyesores and dangerous trip hazards. Call today for a free estimate, 800-421-SEAL. Poly-level is the quickest, least expensive, and most durable system to repair your sunken concrete problems. Don't live with a problem that will only get worse.
Permaseal has been making Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana homes healthier and more valuable for over 45 years. Call today to receive 10% off or up to 18 months no-interest financing. Don't replace it, raise it. Call 800-421-7325 or visit permaseal.net.
The future of medicine is here at QC Kinetics. QC is the nation's leader in the most exciting revolution in pain management we've seen in decades. Regenerative medicine. If you're tired of achy joints, if your joint pain is keeping you from doing what you love, you need to call QC Kinetics today. Surgery, steroids, drugs, these are no longer your best options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative treatment that delivers lasting results. QC Kinetics is under the leadership of National Medical Director Dr. Michael Scheinkupp. Dr. Scheinkupp is a pioneer in this field with 20 years of clinical work, research, teaching, and publishing. He wants to get you relief with a needle, not a knife. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. Appointments now available on Saturdays. Call 312-809-5955, 312-809-5955. Again, that's 312-809-5955.
Hi, this is Randy Donnelly from Donnelly Auctions in Union, Illinois, with my current want list for upcoming auctions. Guns and military items are always at the top of my list, but I have buyers for vintage automobiles and motorcycles, old gas pumps and automotive signs. Do you have pinball machines and coin-operated games like slot machines, jukeboxes? How about Coke machines and soda machines? Also, neon signs, antique phonographs and music boxes, old toys, especially science fiction and Star Wars. Cowboy and Native American collections like barbershop, ice cream parlor, and saloon items. We'll take one item or an entire collection. We sell it all. Call me before you sell your items outright because you could be leaving a fortune on the table. And you won't know until you call me at 815-923-7000 or send me an email at DonnellyAuctions.com. My job is to get you top dollar for your collections, so call me at 815-923-7000. I'm Randy Donnelly, and I'll see you at the auction.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
7:39. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Kennedy right now, an hour 20. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike, an hour 12. 390 into the old post office. Dan Ryan, 40 minutes, 95th. Into the Burns Circle interchange. Solid traffic on DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Northbound, you'll hit the brakes right at Bryn Mawr. Reagan slows up eastbound between Cermak and the Tri-State. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Mostly sunny, breezy, and chilly with a high near 48. Partly cloudy, very cold overnight. Potential frost in some low-lying and western suburban areas and a low of 34. In our ReviveYourLawn.com Weather Center right now, 39 at O'Hare, 40 at Midway, 41 in Joliet, 39 in Kankakee, and 38 along the lakefront. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We have some acolytes of the World Economic Forum in the West. They're trying to sort of soft pedal the Klaus Schwab vision for the world, which is the World Economic Forum, Vanguard, own property. You, the hoi polloi, do not. You don't need property. You need a small little rental unit and a bicycle and bugs, and you just live out your insignificant little life at their direction.
And don't buy new clothes. Go to Goodwill. Go to, places like that.
Leslie Ann Scorgi is a columnist for the Toronto Star. She makes the case that as home prices, because of Canada's sort of strange financial system in terms of how they do home buying plans, have increased significantly, such that, according to her, I don't know, I haven't examined the market, but according to her, households need to earn well over $215,000 to buy a very basic property. We're not talking yards, views, or pools. So while it's easy to feel owning a home is a life goal, probably better to forget it altogether. Here are some of the benefits of renting, in case you didn't know.
Okay, let me hear.
Geographic flexibility. You can end your lease, pack up, and plant roots elsewhere.
Not that easy, but okay. All right.
Also, can't you sell your home, pack up, and go elsewhere if you want to?
Do the same thing, yeah.
You don't have to get your hands dirty as a renter. Life is less complicated. You won't have to spend time, money, and energy on the leaky roof or fixing a cabinet or worrying about nearby zoning changes and so forth. Mm-hmm. You end up with more free cash flow.
No, you don't.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what she says. She did the math. She gave an example of a $550,000 condo, buying it versus renting, and I won't go through the math, but it's a very stylized version of that reality. And you also have less debt as a renter because, some people will take out a home equity loan. Well, as a renter, you can't do that, so you won't accrue as much debt. Less financial flexibility is better than more, apparently. Anyway, I just thought it's interesting, this sort of, as I said, soft pedaling of, you don't need to own private property. That notion is antiquated. It may have worked for your grandparents, but this is the 21st century. Don't own anything. Right? Steve Moore is an economist, Govzilla author. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning, guys. By the way, in listening to your little soliloquy there, Dan, I thought I'd let you know that in Santa Monica, California, which is outside of, in the LA area, and, they have a homeless problem there, as Dan, you and Amy know. And so they're going to start putting up I'm not making this up, folks. Right. They're going to put the homeless people in $1 million condos.
Right.
What?
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they live alone, or are they going to have a buddy, or how's this going to work?
I don't know how it's going to work, but you know what? Santa Monica is a pretty nice place to live. Maybe
Santa Monica's beautiful.
Well, I mean, but
I just think I should sell my house and get a tent.
Balconies.
well, that's
Beautiful
well,
views
but
of the ocean.
exactly. That's another example of why it pays not to own property.
There you go.
Santa Monica taxpayers will take care of it for you.
But look, here's the problem. When I was listening to you talk about this, home ownership is declining significantly, and that's in part because the mortgage rate now is over 7%. In some areas, it's 7.5% to 8%, and it was about 3% when Trump was president. So now your mortgage payments on a 30-year mortgage, instead of being say $2,000 a month, are $4,000 a month, and so people in their late 20s and 30s, when they should start thinking about buying a home, can't afford it. And so now Biden's saying, well, okay, you don't need to own a home anyway. And by the way, ownership is, if you want to get rich in this country, I mean, you've got to own things. You've got to start owning things at an early age, and they'll appreciate in value. When you pay rent, you're just throwing money down the drain. If you're paying a mortgage payment, you're accruing ownership in the property. I mean, that seems obvious, right?
Well, and then also come tax time, you can get, a return.
Yes, you get the mortgage
redemption.
Yeah.
Mortgage redemption.
Right.
Which
You
is
get
great.
you get
And
tax benefits from this, and I tell my kids, I've got a 31 and 32-year-old son, and they're thinking about buying, and I'm like, yeah, buy a place. Now, I understand though the high mortgage rates and the high prices are making it really difficult for people, and most people, young people, can't afford the American dream. They can't buy a home.
Well, if you buy a home, you have to pay for it in cash. I mean, just like, they did when Carter was president, mortgage rates were 18.9%.
Yeah, I remember that.
I mean, it was ridiculous. I remember my family arguing about it, and they're like, just pay for cash. Just put cash down. Don't take out a loan.
Not everybody is from a billionaire family that you can just pay cash for everything, Amy.
Mean, the house was $72,000
yeah.
in Mount Prospect.
She had for that kind of money to just throw around willy-nilly. It's not like you're the city of Santa Monica. By the way, the $1.2 million, 1.1, 1.2 for those condo units in Santa Monica.
Are you going to start kidding me, huh?
That pales in comparison to the $1.7 million public bathrooms they're standing up in San Francisco. Did you see that too?
Yeah, well, I mean, they've got plenty of money in California. Did you see, by the way, in California, just a little warning to my friends there in the Chicagoland area and in Illinois, let's see, Larry Ellison, the chairman and founder of
Oracle.
Oracle, yeah. Did you see? They're moving out. They were an iconic Silicon Valley tech company. They're packing their bags and they're moving to Nashville, Tennessee, where there is no income tax, folks. No income tax.
He bought an island in Hawaii, and he doesn't want to move there either. That's also interesting. Yeah. It's funny how people do the math, even people in the billionaire class. Very funny how that works. Hey, I wanted to find out, I think we all do.
Well, by the way, Dan, you don't become a billionaire by throwing your money around away. I mean, people who are billionaires are pretty smart with money. And hey, wait a minute. I could stay in California and pay a 14% income tax, or I could move to Nashville, Tennessee and pay zero. Let me think about that for a minute.
Yeah, right. The Earth Day. We want to know what you did with Earth Day. You probably were spilling oil on waterfowl or something like that, being the.
Well, we had a little report on Earth Day in our hotline the other day, and this will surprise anyone with a college degree. But it is true that the air that we breathe today is cleaner than any time probably in the last 100 years. And most people are shocked about that because, wait a minute, how can that be true? I mean, we're the biggest polluter in the world. No, all we've been doing for the last 50 or 60 years is cleaning up our air. So if you look at the pollutions that actually, are dangerous to your health, things like lead in the air, sulfur, carbon monoxide, other particulates, we've reduced the concentration of pollutions in most major cities by 70, 80, in some cases 90%. So why do they keep saying we're polluting the planet? Now, you know what they say? Oh, well, what about carbon dioxide? That's increasing. Carbon emissions. Dan, I know I'm going to make a lot of your listeners angry. I'm going to say this. Carbon dioxide is not a pollution. Nobody gets sick from breathing carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is necessary for for life on the planet.
Yeah.
And so, but the kinds of pollutions that actually, like you have asthma or respiratory problems. And by the way, even I grew up in Chicago in the 60s. There's no question the air is much cleaner in the Chicago area today than it was 30, 40, 50 years ago. But most kids don't know that.
Well, yeah. Although the air is more bullet-ridden than it was back in your day.
I guess that's a form of pollution, right?
Yeah, I'd say.
Noise pollution too.
So speaking of colleges, your buddy, the former President Donald Trump, I was channeling Steve Moore a bit in a post that he yesterday on colleges, given all of the ugliness that's happening on college campuses. The two words, accreditation and endowments, and he's going to go after both if he's reelected.
Good.
He says.
I had not seen that, but I think that look, why are we as taxpayers paying? What is I think the price tag now is $150 billion that we're paying to quote forgive student loan debt, and I think it's a terrible idea. But if there's gonna be student loan forgiveness, it should be paid for by taxing the endowments of these massive, I mean, God, Harvard isn't a university; it's a mutual fund.
Right.
they have like, how big is it now? I can't even keep track of how big their endowment is. Like $50-100 billion. They're a money management firm, and now they want taxpayers to pay for the kids that aren't paying back their student loans because they charge $100,000 a year. By the way, can we basically say no more student loans to Columbia?
Well, yeah, but don't limit it to just Columbia. I mean, let's use that as a jumping off point, right?
I mean, what's going on that campus today is so outrageous, and you've got all these like entitled 20-year-olds who've never worked a day in their life who stand in protest against hate America, burning the American flag, while they want American taxpayers to pay for their education.
Hey, that's a daughter of a congressman you're talking about. Knock it off. So one other topic I wanted to get.
Probably a future Congress lady.
Probably. One other topic I wanted to get to. This also sort of coming from California, but the bad ideas in California have a way of migrating to places like Illinois. Same thing with New York, I've noticed. Anyway, the clear system that people can use to, frequent flyers can use to get around long lines, long security lines.
Amy, do you have Clear?
I do not. I have TSA pre-check.
You're not.
I don't have either, which is why I support what California is doing, because I'm sick of waiting in lines that you guys don't have to wait in.
Get TSA. What do you got?
And I'm oppressed.
What do you have to hide?
Yeah, lots of stuff.
Yeah,
so want to get fingerprinted, do you?
Know the story, but what they want to do is Clear is you pay, I think, like $75. I forget how much, $100 a year. If you're a frequent flyer like I am, I'm on the road about at least one day a week, oftentimes 3 or 4 flights a week. You pay for this pre-screening thing, and then you don't have to go through the long lines because you've already pre-screened. They've already gone through the procedure, and you can get through the airport faster. And so the left says, no, that's unfair. That is unfair to poor people. Everybody should have to stand in line for 45 minutes waiting to get through the security system, and it's almost like traffic jams. Some of my liberal friends like people sitting in traffic, like a lot of your listeners are right now, because they feel like that's a democratic system. Rich people and poor people have to suffer equally. That's what they like, right?
Right, exactly. We should be miserable together. I mean, that's how you build community around misery.
So they want to eliminate Clear?
And by the way,
Clear,
I just want to make sure people understand. The fact that we have a system of Clear where people pre-check, that actually reduces the length of lines for everyone. But they don't care if the one person has to wait 5 minutes more than the other person, even if it's a lower wait, they want to get rid of that. And that's democracy for you.
Well, I got news for you. I'm going to help them come after first class next, eliminating first class. So you're going to have to be back in steerage with the rest of us.
What do you have
By the
against
way, Amy, I know we're running out of time, but I want to tell you, I paid $7 for an ice cream cone. A single scoop.
I know.
Single scoop, $7.
Was that? How much was the cone that you bought for Biden? It was a little ice cream date.
Where did you get this?
Amy and I have been talking about this for months. Inflation is a lot higher than 4 or 5%. It's probably 20%.
I'm going 30. I was in the grocery store again, and I can't stomach it. I mean, I'm just buying for 2 people, and I can't get out of there under $230.
All right, we'll do a.
I need a sponsor. No, those days are gone when we had the EBT card during COVID, where they gave me how much did they give me a month, you guys? Like $900 a month for both kids during COVID. That's how much I got.
They meaning we.
The government.
All right, we'll set up a GoFundMe for Steve Moore's ice cream. We'll let you know how that goes, Steve. Steve Moore, economist, Govzilla author. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
Okay, guys, have a great week. Take care.
I don't know where he's going to get his ice cream, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Worried about inflation, digital currencies, political turmoil, and the future of your investments? It's time to take control with Conservative Wealth Protection Group. During these times, central banks are buying gold and precious metals at record levels. But the question is, are you? With access to the cheapest bullion in the nation, we have a deep understanding of the precious metals markets. We'll reveal strategies that both the wealthy and everyday patriots just like you are using to get the most out of their tax-deferred retirement plans. With an A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau, we provide guidance without high-pressure sales tactics. Our No Fees for Life IRA program offers the lowest prices on precious metals, along with tax-free and penalty-free transfers. Explore your options with a free consultation. Call 888-964-4333. That's 888-964-4333. Protect your family and your investments. Call 888-964-4333 now.
Now I'm obsessed with this average price of an ice cream scoop. It's near $4.
How much is it? How much is it normally? I haven't been to Baskin Robbins in a while.
I mean, it was $2, $3. Last time I was in, it was about a few years ago.
What decade was that? Yeah.
No, it was a few years ago, but $7. I wonder where he's going to get his ice cream.
He gets the premium stuff.
Well,
Cold Stone Creamery or something. Is that still cool? I don't know.
No, those are gone.
No.
I don't think they're still available. They're not on Southport anymore. My little bubble there. All right. So if you are eating ice cream and junk food and not getting enough fruits and veggies, may I suggest Balance of Nature? 31 whole fruits and vegetables, real food, real nutrition. People who take it have increased energy. They're loving the fact that they're getting their health back, and they love that they feel good that they're doing something for themselves. So be one of the cool kids. Get your bottles of fruits and veggies today. 800-246-8751. That's 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago or online at balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel. Home to the biggest shows on TV, like Dennis Prager, weekdays at noon Eastern, followed by Jay and Jordan Sekulow at 2. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free now on Xumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Xumo.
Welcome to a getaway like no other. The Maplewood Hotel in the heart of Saugatuck, Michigan. Built in the 1860s during Michigan's lumberman's era, our boutique bed and breakfast offers a warmth and charm that are amplified by its rich history. Our cozy rooms are designed for comfort, ensuring a restful night's sleep after a day of exploring all that Saugatuck has to offer. Discover the vibrant art scene, stroll through local shops, and indulge in delicious local cuisine, all just steps away from the Maplewood Hotel. Whether you're planning a romantic weekend or organizing a business retreat, we have the perfect rooms for you. We're conveniently located just over 2 hours from Chicago. Stay 3 or more nights and get a discount of 15% off rack room rates in 2024 when you use the code word Chicago Radio. Must book directly with hotel to receive the discount. Visit maplewoodhotel.com today before our summer bookings sell out. Again, that's maplewoodhotel.com.
Are you ready for an adventure of a lifetime? Journey with me, Mike Gallagher, and Dr. Sebastian Gorka on the Patriots Alaska cruise this summer. It's going to be an incredible opportunity to engage with other like-minded patriots on an epic 7-day cruise over 4th of July. Witness the untouched wilderness of Alaska while discussing America's future. Join Dr. Gorka and me, Mike Gallagher, from June 29th through July the 6th. Call 855-565-5519 or reserve online at patriotsalaskacruise.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:08, we'll talk to former DOD official and Washington Times columnist Jed Babin about the $95 billion foreign aid package passed with bipartisan support, with Pagliacci Schumer offering, damning really, Speaker Johnson with faint praise. What does Babin think of the Speaker's performance during this in particular at 8:08?
But now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
The McHenry County State's Attorney dropping out of the 2024 race. WIND Chicago News Time, 8.
Ukraine's long wait will soon be over. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Biden plans to sign the $95 billion in foreign aid the Senate approved last night.
Tonight we tell our allies, we stand with you. We tell our adversaries, don't mess with us.
Democratic Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, almost two-thirds of the funding will provide weapons and ammo and other military aid Ukraine's been asking for in the war against Russia. Some Republicans oppose that, saying Ukraine is corrupt and we've given them enough. Senator Ted Cruz among the 18 no votes, telling Fox
it does nothing, zero, to stop the invasion at our southern border. That's got to be our priority.
Now, the bill also includes a ban on TikTok unless the social media app cuts ties to its Chinese parent company. $26 billion of the aid will go to Israel, which college protesters won't like. That's at Columbia University, where a midnight deadline for pro-Palestinian protesters to take down an encampment was extended. So Fox's CB Cotton reports from the campus.
To see them camped out for at least 2 more days. The university tells us in its negotiations the students have agreed to a series of concessions. New York House Republicans say too many Jewish students have already been harassed, and they're now calling on Columbia's president to resign.
There are also anti-Israel protests from California to Texas to Massachusetts. The Supreme Court this morning will consider a new abortion case a few years after the ruling that states have a right to ban the procedure. Idaho's law is being challenged, with the Biden administration pushing for greater medical exemptions for women in Idaho to allow more abortions. The day after President Biden went to Florida, blaming his predecessor for appointing Supreme Court justices who overturned a woman's federal right to abortion.
Donald Trump is worried voters are going to hold him accountable for the cruelty and chaos he created. Folks, the bad news for Trump is we are going to hold him accountable.
Florida has a new law effective next week banning most abortions 6 weeks into a pregnancy. America's listening to Fox News.
39 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Due to excessive call-offs by teachers, schools in the city of Hammond, all of them, are closed today. School is canceled. There will be no e-learning, and the day will be made up at a future date. The off-duty killing of Chicago police officer Luis Huesca is being classified as a line-of-duty death. Meantime, services are now set for Huesca, shot and killed early on Sunday. Funeral services will be held next Monday at St. Rita Catholic Church, while a wake takes place on Sunday at the Blake Lamb Funeral Home in Oak Lawn. Investigators are still searching for the gunman wanted for questioning in that case. No one is in custody following a deadly shooting on Chicago's South Side. It happened last night in the 6700 block of South Chapel Avenue. The Bears are set to announce today plans for a new dome stadium along the lakefront. Chicago Tribune is reporting the team will ask taxpayers statewide to foot the bill for more than half of the $4.6 billion project. And interest is growing to purchase Oberweis Dairy after the company filed for bankruptcy. The president of the North Aurora-based company says the local owner of Dutch Farms has made a strong bid to buy all operating assets of Oberweis. Cubs over the Astros 7-2, while the Twins beat the White Sox again 6-5. The worst team in baseball is on a 5-game losing streak. The news, a service of Del Bacchio Marchetti Group of properties, Christie's International Real Estate. Experts in the northwest suburbs and Chicago. With over $800 million in sales, you'll get the most value for your home at 708-828-0000. 804. Time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. And now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Stuart Varney, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Toy maker Hasbro is holding up better than Wall Street was anticipating. It's reporting solid progress in its turnaround efforts. Its earnings top forecast and Hasbro shares are up 6%. AT&T is reporting a big jump in subscribers with a monthly bill, and its financial situation is better than a year ago. Health insurer Humana's earnings and revenue were both upbeat. It's raising its expectations for growth in its Medicare Advantage plan. Mortgage rates measured by the Mortgage Bankers Association topped 7% last week. Its average for the 30-year fixed mortgage rose to 7.24% in the week ending April 19th. The MBA says demand for adjustable rate mortgages has been picking up. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosolda, invested in you.
805 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Suburban Welding and Steel is your local welding, fabricating, and repair shop where service and quality is number one. Their dedicated team of experts can repair a job on-site or in their shop located in Franklin Park. They have the machinery needed to get your project completed with the craftsmanship and precision so you can get back to business. Suburban Welding and Steel services, more than just the manufacturing industry. They also service the food industry, heavy equipment, trucking, airports, and railroads. Walk-ins are also welcome, so if you need it welded, repaired, fabricated, or modified, Suburban Welding and Steel will do the laser cutting, machining, forming, and plate rolling for you, or they have the materials you need in stock and ready for the purchase. And if you know a hardworking person looking for a career in the trade, Suburban Welding and Steel is looking to add to their team of experts. Visit suburbanweldingandsteel.com to see the full story on what they can do for you. SuburbanWeldingandSteel.com.
Think identity theft won't happen to you? Think again. There's a new victim every 3 seconds in the U.S., over 15 million this year alone, and many don't even know they're victims. LifeLock alerts you to identity threats you could miss even when you monitor your credit. If your identity's stolen, a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft, but everyone can save up to 25% their first year with my name, Clay, as the promo code at lifelock.com.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Don't let everyday aches and pains keep you from living your best life.
I don't think I really understood what people meant when they talked about pain until I started feeling it myself.
Start feeling better every day with Relief Factor, a daily supplement designed to support your body's fight against aches and pains.
Not only do I move better without pain, I just feel better.
Created by doctors, Relief Factor uses a unique formula of natural ingredients that target 4 metabolic pathways to address pain. Relief Factor doesn't just mask aches and pains, it helps reduce or even eliminate them.
Today, I do the things I love, and it doesn't occur to me to think about pain.
You can feel the difference all day, every day.
Join the over 1 million people who have tried Relief Factor's 3-week Quick Start Kit. It's only $19.95. Visit relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4RELIEF. And feel the difference of Relief Factor.
It's 8:09. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Kennedy right now is at 84 minutes, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Kennedy on the outbound side, 45 minutes to O'Hare. As you're traveling on the Ike inbound, it's an hour 20, 390 to the old post office. Slow on the Dan Ryan, 37, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Delays on DuSable Lakeshore Drive northbound. You'll hit the brakes right at Foster. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast in our ReviveYourLawn.com weather center. Here's Steve Williams.
Sunshine, breezy, chilly day. High today 48. Tonight partly cloudy, chilly. Wrapping up those plants again from some potential frost. Low 34. Sunny to partly cloudy, warmer day tomorrow. The high 59. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
39 at O'Hare, 40 at Midway, and your next news update is at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So yesterday, the Senate passed a $95 billion foreign aid package, with the majority going to Ukraine and some to Israel, some to the Indo-Pacific. And this was Pagliacci Schumer on the Senate floor thanking Speaker Johnson for his leadership. Talk about being damned with faint praise.
I thank Leader McConnell, as I've mentioned before, working hand in hand with us, not letting partisanship get in the way. I thank Speaker Johnson, who rose to the occasion. In his own words, said he had to do the right thing despite the enormous political pressure on him. And I thank Leader Jeffries, who worked so well together in his bipartisan way with Speaker Johnson. And let me say this once again about my friend, the Republican leader. We were of one mind to get this bill done. It was our bipartisanship, our linking of arms together, that got this large and difficult bill through the Congress, despite many political ideologues who wanted to bring it down. Bipartisanship once again prevailed, and I thank him for his leadership.
Absolutely. If there's one thing Chuck Schumer isn't, he is not ideological.
No, not at all.
No. And one of the other things that we know, too, is that anything that is done in a bipartisan fashion is an unalloyed good. It is impossible to do damage if it's bipartisan. Any legislation, any spending, if you get Republicans and Democrats, the leadership, the Republican and Democrat Party together to do something together, it is always good. We've seen that in Illinois. Republicans and Democrats, when they come together to do something, it is always for your benefit.
Yeah, it's for the people. Mm-hmm.
Right. Uh-huh. Meanwhile, while they were speechifying over the Senate, there's a House delegation that rushed off to Ukraine to visit with Zelensky to report back. They still haven't stopped waving those little. They still haven't stopped waving those little flags. And one of the most excited members of the House Socialist Caucus was this Massachusetts dude, congresshuman, named Bill Keating. Oh, man. He scurried over to Zelensky to show him the vote totals. Look how good we did.
We did it.
Senator Bill Keating from Massachusetts. Interesting. And I have something that you're really going to like.
Yeah.
Come on, this is the official tally of the vote.
Yes, I see.
For the supplemental aid.
Get out of my face.
Yes.
And look at that vote. 73%.
Yes, thank you so much. 73.
That's a good vote.
Good.
That's good. We did good. We did good.
Wow, butt kicker. Ooh. I mean, kisser, excuse me.
And you know, and this is separate and distinct from the conversation about Ukraine funding and support in trying to repel Putin. But this whole theatrical performance is stomach-turning, for me, at least. And, oh, by the way, of course, they can't help but spike the football. It's not... The bipartisanship goes only so far. I mean, it doesn't include people like the former president or Tucker Carlson, both of whom McConnell blamed for making the process more laborious than it needed to be.
I think the demonization of Ukraine began by Tucker Carlson, who, in my opinion, ended up where he should have been all along, which is interviewing Vladimir Putin. And so he had an enormous audience, which convinced a lot of rank-and-file Republicans that maybe this was a mistake. I think the former president had sort of mixed views on it. We all felt that the border was a complete disaster, myself included. And Chad, you remember covering the phases we went through. First, there was an effort to make law, which requires you to deal with Democrats. And then a number of our members thought it wasn't good enough. And then our nominee for president didn't seem to want us to do anything at all. That took months to work our way through it. So we ended up doing the supplemental that was originally proposed, which dealt with not all problems. It didn't solve the border problem, but certainly addressed the growing threats at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Trump, being characterized as don't do anything because, I'm cynically want this to be a political issue rather than don't do what you're proposing to do with Langford carrying the water, because this is about leveraging the power of the purse to get Biden to make policy changes that the executive can be made and therefore focus the responsibility where it belongs. And, oh, by the way, it was Speaker Mike Johnson who said there's not going to be foreign aid funding without addressing the border. And he rejected what McConnell and Langford had cooked up with Democrats in the Senate. It's a little bit more complicated than Senator Free's frame there is suggesting. For more on this, please be joined by Jed Babin, former United States Deputy Undersecretary of Defense. He's a contributor to the Washington Times and the American Spectator as well. Jed, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So what's your distillation of this $95 billion package and the speechifying from McConnell in particular?
Well, anything bipartisan is certainly totally controlled by Chuck Schumer in the White House. Mm-hmm. We've known that for a long, long time. So being bipartisan is kind of a definition of being bad. But in this case, we had to do something for Ukraine. We have to have an interest in stopping Vladimir Putin's progress, and we have an interest, not a vital national security interest, but a definite national security interest in blocking Putin from getting any farther into Ukraine. So, Ukraine is probably not going to win this war. We've waited too long and spent too much time debating about what aid we should be giving them to really have any good come out of it. The Europeans are trying to claim that they're sending 90+% of the aid to Ukraine. Nonsense. Germany sent a few tanks and they didn't work, so Ukraine sent them back. I mean, that's the kind of thing that Europe is doing. Mm-hmm. But, at this point, going forward with aid to Ukraine is a good thing for our national security interests. Nobody seems to recognize that, and certainly not Marjorie Taylor Greene or Bob Good or Matt Gaetz or any of those idiots.
But what are they doing with our money? I mean, last time, I think $70 billion was used to help promote or support their small businesses. So what is it for this time?
Well, supposedly it's for direct military aid, and supposedly it's partially repayable. Of course, $10 billion of that is, partially a loan. It's never going to be repaid. I think we have a situation clearly where Ukraine is corrupt. There is siphoning off of our aid, and it's going to corrupt purposes. But still, we have to try. We can't not do it and let Ukraine just fall and let Poland and Moldova and the rest of the Eastern Europeans fall back under Russian control.
Well, okay, so there's a couple of things there. But first, I want to get your distinction. You said it's in our national interest. It's not a vital national interest, but it's a national interest. What's the distinction?
Well, a vital national security interest, and this was taught to me by a really smart guy, former chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Dick Myers. We have national security interests and we have vital national security interests. A vital national security interest is something that protects our direct freedoms under the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, freedom of speech, and so forth. When those things are threatened, we go to war. If we have the freedoms of space, cyber, seas, and our own airspace threatened, that's when we go to war. Other than that, there is no reason for America to intervene into a war. There is a reason for us to help others and other countries, but we don't have a reason to go to war ourselves. We're not neocons. Conservatives are not neocons. Mm-hmm. We do not want to intervene in just any old war that comes up. We do not want to have insecure borders. We do not want to have our foreign policy subsumed to the United Nations. We do not want to do any of those things. It's like Henry Now wrote in his great book, Conservative Internationalism. That's what we really are. We're conservative internationalists. We do not hesitate to interfere in the affairs of other nations when it's in our interests, but we do not go to war unless we have a vital national security interest.
When McConnell said in his speech on the Senate floor that aid now, it's sort of an ounce of prevention sort of speech, and aid now lessens the chance that we'd have to put American troops on the ground in Eastern Europe. But are the two really connected? That if this $60 billion to Ukraine wasn't en route, that we necessarily are looking at the prospect of American troops on the ground there?
Not necessarily, but we have to look at the fact that Ukraine borders NATO nations, Poland, for example. Mm-hmm. I mean, if Poland is attacked, we go to war. That's in the NATO treaty. That's the mutual defense obligation. If one is attacked, all go to war. So I guess, really it's not true what Mr. McConnell was saying. He's saying we're not going to go to war over Ukraine. He's not saying that. I'm saying that. The fact of the matter is we go to war where our treaty obligations call us out, and that's the basic truth of it. If we go to war over Ukraine, we'd be making a huge mistake.
And what is you said it in terms of Poland, Moldova, the Baltic states, the argument that's been made about Putin's revanchist ambitions.
Yeah.
But what is you would know better than I, what is the real assessment of the likelihood of that, the capacity that Russia has to move beyond Ukraine and face a prospect of trying to take a NATO member and knowing what that would implicate?
Well, I don't know that Putin has made a decision yet to conquer Poland or conquer. Well, I don't know if Moldova is even a member of NATO at this point. But the point really comes down to, I think we can't totally assess that. What we can do is we can look at Russian and Putin's philosopher, Alexander Dugin. Alexander Dugin wrote in his book, Foundation of Geopolitics, and Putin is a Duginist. He is someone who believes in Dugin and follows what Dugin says. Dugin wrote that unless Ukraine is conquered, Putin may as well never even bother with the rest of the Russian Empire in terms of restoring it over Eastern Europe. So he's going to go after Ukraine till hell won't hold it. And I think that's what we have to recognize. We have to aid Ukraine again, but not send U.S. troops, not get directly involved.
But so what do we? So what's our horizon here? I mean, and this whole and there's though those are Ukraine decisions. Well, at some point it's got to be a decision that's in consultation if we're the underwriter or a significant underwriter. And so do we give this a few months to see what happens with the $60 billion, and then we're back to make an assessment and potentially more funding? Do we watch this play out over the next year? I mean, what's the approach that's taken once this money is and these the other forms of aid are sent? How do we then process and position with respect to Ukraine?
Well, I think we're going to have to cross that bridge a couple of months down the road. But, and I emphasize this with a capital B, I think Ukraine is in great danger of losing this war. They're not just short of troops, which they are, and Russia can continue to feed troops in. The Russian economy is like 10 times the size of Ukraine's. But they can also, Ukraine is not just running out of artillery ammunition; they're running out of artillery barrels. You can only shoot so many thousands of rounds through a 155 millimeter howitzer before the barrel wears out. And, even if they ordered them now, even if we tried to manufacture them now, it'd be 18 months before we could get them delivered. So, this is going to be a very bad time for Ukraine. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. And, a couple of months from now, we're going to have to face this question again.
The position of House Republicans. I mean, I read your piece in the Spectator, and I agree with you. I'm not pushing for Mike Johnson to be deposed or anything like that. But to get nothing out of this along the lines of either a change in border policy or a change in energy policy, particularly energy policy. I mean, I don't want to actually prioritize one, but with respect to geopolitics, obviously Biden's energy policy is enriching our enemies like Russia, like Iran, and that doesn't make any sense. To not use the opportunity to make these bigger arguments and to really try to leverage the power of the purse, slim as the majority is, I just thought was a missed opportunity for Johnson.
Well, I totally agree with you. Don't get me wrong. I am not against the Republicans trying to do more for our border and trying to do more to stop Biden. What I am for is trying to get them to get their act together. The basic point is there's so few votes. There's only like a 2-vote majority right now. And thanks to people like Ken Buck, who resigned early, we have a very thin majority. If the Republicans can't get their act together, what they ought to be doing is they ought to be telling Biden nothing, nothing passes the House until you do something about the border. Nothing. We will do no work. We will do no jobs. We will not clear any of your appropriations bills. Nothing. Nothing will get done. I don't care if the government stops. I don't care if there's a government shutdown. That's the point. They have to have enough guts to do this, and they don't. They simply don't.
Jed Babin, former United States Deputy Undersecretary of Defense, contributor to the Washington Times and American Spectator. Jed, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, it's my pleasure.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Hi, it's Sean Thompson here. When you're at the mall and you go to those directory signs, the one that says you are here? Well, imagine that directory is a map of your preparation for retirement. Would you know where you are? My friend Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group is offering you the opportunity to not only find yourself on that map, but also find the route toward a successful retirement. He calls it his retirement roadmap. You'll get an analysis of where you are right now, whether you're at risk if the market drops again, whether you're taking advantage of the latest tax changes, and much, much more. To get an idea where you stand on the road to retirement, call my friend Tom Fortino at the Alpha Wealth Group today at 630-934-1855. That's 630-934-1855. And ask for the retirement roadmap, or visit alphawealthgroup.com. And don't forget to listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings right here on AM 560 The Answer at 9 a.m.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
All right, the end of the school year is rapidly approaching, and the big question is, where are you going to send your son or daughter off to school next fall? Well, we suggest halfpriceschools.com. At halfpriceschools.com, you can find a full year of tuition for half of the normal price. You can take advantage of this great opportunity. It's simple. Find that private school near you, purchase that tuition voucher, and voila, a new school in the fall. St. Andrew's Lutheran in Park Ridge. We've got Ravenswood Christian School in Chicago. The list goes on and on. Just go to halfpriceschools.com and do not delay. Next year will be here before you know it. Visit halfpriceschools.com. That's halfpriceschools.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Larry Nora, founder and CEO of You Store It, a network of award-winning self-storage facilities in the Chicago area, and a customer of Signature Bank. We've developed over 70 storage centers throughout the city and suburbs, and our business continues to grow. We need a bank who understands the neighborhoods and communities where we are making investments. We found that in Signature Bank. They know this city and its neighborhoods because they are based right here in Chicago. Finding a local banking institution like Signature Bank has been critical to the success of You Store It, and we look forward to a long-term relationship.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
You have to feel good. When you feel good, you look good. And when you look good, things happen. My name's Gary. I exercise almost every day. I'm more active than the average 71-year-old man. I started taking Balance of Nature, and I can feel the benefits from it. It's been a little bit of a revolutionary product. I stand behind the product. I stand behind what I say. Balance of Nature, it's a great product for me.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order, plus $10 off any additional sets with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
The waves were mighty and fierce as could be when my lady and I got lost at sea. We tossed and turned and we nearly drowned when my brave little boat went down. Whoa, 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 no, none of that's true. You haven't had a date in a year or two. The sea was calm and the sky was clear and you crashed right into the pier.
Yeah, fine.
Accidents don't just happen in sea shanties, so Progressive Boat Insurance has you covered. Take as little as 4 minutes to see what you can save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, covered subject to policy terms and not available for all boats or in all situations.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll get a first-person account of what's going on at Columbia University from Columbia graduate Ben Appel at 8:38.
Good. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott. Good to see you back on camera, Mike, in the studio.
Only smiling for you and no one else.
Right. The world is watching you, Mike.
40 degrees this morning at 8:31 on AM 560. The Answer. President Biden says he'll sign a bill today that will provide billions of dollars, he says, in foreign aid to Ukraine and other parts of the world. The Senate package includes aid to Israel and Taiwan. Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson will meet with Jewish students today at New York's Columbia University as the school faces massive pro-Palestinian and pro-Hamas terrorist protests. And this morning, Columbia is taking steps to try and dismantle the on-campus encampment.
Columbia says pro-Palestinian protesters and that they have also agreed that only Columbia students can take part in protests. Nardine wants to make sure their voices can still be heard.
Columbia continues to use anti-Palestinian, Zionist, and Islamophobic tactics to quell free speech on their campus.
Meanwhile, at NYU, student demonstrations expected to continue at Washington Square Park. This is after police cleared an encampment at Gould Plaza there this week and closed it off. Scott Pringle, NBC News Radio, New York.
Millions of salaried workers in the U.S. will soon qualify for overtime pay thanks to rules promulgated by the Biden administration. The rules announced Tuesday by the Department of Labor changes the threshold under which salaried employees become eligible for overtime. Chicago police this morning warning residents about a string of arsons after someone set fire to trash bins in Southside alleys. Now, those incidents began March 27, with the latest happening Tuesday night. Police did not have a description of the arsonist. And Chicago police are searching for 6 people involved in an armed robbery in the Loop last night around 9 p.m. Police say a 23-year-old man was robbed at gunpoint by 5 men and 1 woman. No arrests have been made. And authorities are investigating and say no one is in custody following a deadly shooting on Chicago's South Side. Police found a man with a single gunshot wound last night in the 6700 block of South Chapel. Cubs over the Astros 7-2, while the Twins beat the White Sox 6-5. And as expected, Coleman Hawkins is leaving the Fighting Illini basketball program. The Illini forward declaring for the NBA draft yesterday and will forego his final year of eligibility. The news a service of Lowe's. Save big every day when you buy in bulk. Save 10% on your choice of any 10 or more select Samsung major appliances because Lowe's knows pros. Valid through 5/15. Selection varies by location. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
November 2nd, 2020, marked the 100th anniversary of the first commercial radio broadcast. We're still here, and we're bigger and better than ever. You can still listen to us over this great radio station, but now there are no limitations. Your smartphone is now your smart radio. Listen to us online on the app, TuneIn.com, iHeartRadio, and Odyssey.com. Your smart speaker can find us too. With radio, there is no separation anxiety. We're always on. AM 560, The Answer.
Worried about inflation, digital currencies, political turmoil, and the future of your investments? It's time to take control with Conservative Wealth Protection Group. During these times, central banks are buying gold and precious metals at record levels. But the question is, are you? With access to the cheapest bullion in the nation, we have a deep understanding of the precious metals markets. We'll reveal strategies that both the wealthy and everyday patriots just like you are using to get the most out of their tax-deferred retirement plans. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, we provide guidance without high-pressure sales tactics. Our No Fees for Life IRA program offers the lowest prices on precious metals, along with tax-free and penalty-free transfers. Explore your options with a free consultation. Call 888-964-4333. That's 888-964-4333. Protect your family and your investments. Call 888-964-4333 now.
A storm is on the horizon, and you need to keep the lights on no matter what. Your business relies on the power being on 24/7. It's the lifeblood of your data and computer systems. Weather-related outages from the power company are not acceptable. Your need for a source of power that's reliable 24/7, along with round-the-clock service that can dispatch technicians to your site immediately, is mission critical. Your business needs Charles Equipment Energy Systems on speed dial. These are the big boys, not residential or solar, but reliable industrial generators for emergency backup or events. When you need more than a 100-foot extension cord plugged into a small engine generator, call Charles Equipment Energy Systems. They keep the lights on with rental generators for job sites or power outages. The storm season is here. Plan ahead. Call now to prepare generators for sudden damage and potential power outages. Call 630-834-6000. That's 630-834-6000 or charlesequipment.com. charlesequipment.com.
Balance of Nature supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
You have to feel good. When you feel good, you look good. And when you look good, things happen. My name's Gary. I exercise almost every day. I'm more active than the average 71-year-old man. I started taking Balance of Nature, and I can feel the benefits from it. It's been a little bit of a revolutionary product for me. I stand behind the product. I stand behind what I say. Balance of Nature, it's a great product for me.
Start your journey with Balance of Nature supplements. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer. And for a limited time, get 35% off your first order, plus $10 off any additional sets with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
8:39. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Quick check of the Edens, 24 Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Ike right now solid through the avenues. It's an hour 15, 390 into the old post office. Dan Ryan, 36 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. We're seeing delays as you continue in Wheaton this morning at County Farm in Williams with an accident. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Mostly sunny, breezy, and chilly today with a high near 48. In our ReviveYourLawn.com Weather Center, 40 at O'Hare, 40 at Midway, 39 in Aurora, 39 in Wheeling, 38 along the lakefront. Your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So, as I understand it from Brotherly Love Spice's kid, who's, I think, still suspended from Barnard. Yeah. But she's getting by. I don't think we're on a starvation watch, even though she's homeless and she's not allowed to go into the cafeteria at Barnard. She doesn't have her access cards anymore.
She's homeless and hungry, Dan.
Yeah. But the good news is, the good news is she's in a community, as she described it on MSNBC, that's welcoming, that's collaborative, that's peaceful. Basically, in this encampment, they sit around and have s'mores and talk about, what it's like to be oppressed. And then there'll be some time for the death to Israel, death to America chants. But it's very it's very community oriented. Yeah. Although sometimes, in order to have a community, they have found, I don't know if they'll use this language, it could be triggering, you have to exclude others. And that includes the university. They excluded a management professor there. We've had him on the show, I believe. Shai Davidai. He's a professor there. He's Jewish. And he didn't like being denied access to campus to stage a peaceful counter-protest to the encampment.
Media in, is the university keeping the media out? This is the COO of the university. Are we not letting the media in? What? Can you back up, please? My card has been deactivated? Why? Can you back up, please? Wait. Everybody, my card has been deactivated. This is Cass Holloway, the COO. This is Gerald Lewis. They were in the meeting where I asked them if Hamas is a terror organization, and they couldn't say that it is a terrorist organization. Why? I'm a professor here. Why can't I?
Shai,
No. Speak out loud so the media
Shai,
can hear.
we are willing to take you to the math lawn.
No, I am a professor here.
Alumnus. We have a right.
Whoa, everybody quiet. I am a professor here. I have every right to be everywhere on campus. You cannot let people that support Hamas on campus and me, a professor, not go on campus. Let me in now.
Well, no. And of course they did it. Guess why?
For his own safety.
Of course.
Because if it saves one life.
You got to protect everybody, keeping everybody safe. But I don't understand. Why would there be any fear for the professor's safety when this is a peaceful, loving, communal encampment? Strange.
makes me sick that him and others have been locked out. And then they're locked out of in-person learning, might not have a graduation. And here's another, her name is Hagar, and she's in the International Jewish Studies program at Columbia.
It shouldn't be that we have to shut down classes and go virtual and force us to stay home and encourage Jewish students to stay home because the protesters have created an unsafe environment. It should be the other way around.
Again, I don't understand. On the one hand, this is for your safety, and the other, it's totally peaceful. So which is it? Maybe some of the other instances that have been captured suggest why it's not exactly completely peaceful. Like this exchange between a Kafifad undergrad and a Jewish student as these Jewish students were entering a building, and the one guy you'll hear was draped in an Israeli flag. So again, sort of a counter-protest, which is perfectly within the lines, but you'll have to decide if the response to the pro-Hamas protester was within the lines.
Keep it moving, you Zionist bitch. Keep it moving, you Zionist bitch.
We are Hamas!
You're Hamas, wow. That's a good one. You're what? You're Hamas?
Yes, we're all Hamas, pig! I live Hamas! That's you! Get our face! No!
Ugh, so unhinged.
We are all Hamas, you Zionist pig. So you're undergrads, I presume, at an Ivy League school, so you understand the implication of saying you're a member of a terrorist organization, so that's not exactly a thinly veiled threat, that is. And, you know, the clip we played yesterday perhaps is the most troubling, even more troubling than that hysterical ignoramus that you just heard.
What could be worse?
This was the cult-like atmosphere. And this is the repeat after me, the leadership in the encampment, a very autonomous zone, liberation zone oriented. The repeat after me when the encampment was threatened by a Jewish person or two.
Attention, everyone. Can I get everyone to form a human chain right here, please? We have Zionists that have entered the camp. My check! Repeat after me. We have Zionists. Who have entered the camp. We are going to create a human chain. Where I am standing. So that they do not pass this point. And infringe upon our privacy. And try to disrupt our community. Please join me in this chain.
Do you see how hostile this is? And you're asking me not to record?
Walk and take a step forward.
Yeah, I absolutely feel threatened right now.
So that we can start to push them out of the camp. One step forward. Another step forward.
Do you feel threatened? Oh, you mean by this Children of the Corn routine in front of me? Yeah, I feel threatened.
A little bit, yeah. A little creepy.
Ben Appel is a Columbia University graduate. He's written for Newsweek, the Free Press, Unheard, and the Washington Examiner. His Substack is substack.com/@Ben Appel, APPEL. Ben, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, how are things? I know you're an alumnus at this point, but how are things on campus now? They keep extending the deadlines for the encampment to disband, don't they?
Yeah, I spent the last couple of days up there just to kind of see what was going on. I felt like I had to see it for myself. And late last night, the president had issued a deadline of midnight for the encampments to clear. And it didn't happen. She extended it to, at first it was 8 a.m. as far as reports were saying, and then I think now she has given them an additional 48 hours with additional, constraints, perhaps additional guidelines and so on. I think that the students wanted proof, perhaps in writing. This is according to Columbia Spectator, that there weren't going to be police or National Guard sent in. I'm not really sure what all the negotiations are, but the protesters have a really high list of demands.
Of course.
They want the university to meet before they leave.
Why wouldn't they? The university is properly deferential. I mean, you're not that far removed from being an undergrad at Columbia. So
Right.
Does what is happening now surprise you?
No, not at all, really. It doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, I graduated in 2020, May 2020. So 4 years ago, I wouldn't have thought, I wouldn't have been able to predict that in 4 years there's going to be an encampment of tents, on the South Lawn. But when I visit the school, none of it surprises me in terms of like how, I guess, radicalized a lot of these students have become, and just the general hostility towards Israel specifically, and the university's relationship with it. There's just, it's a really strong undercurrent that I noticed from my first week, or even before I began, even during orientation week, back in late 2016.
Well, what did you see back then? What were you hearing?
Well, it was, so I was always a liberal Democrat. I always, and I kind of understood it as part of the Democratic platform that, we support Israel. And when I got onto campus and overheard other students talking, they were saying things like, oh, well, everybody knows that the progressive position is to be pro-Palestine and anti-Israel. And I realized, oh, wow, I have a lot of catching up to do. And then I started taking classes with, professors who were, virulently anti-Israel. And so just kind of picking this up as I went along, that's what I noticed.
NYU business professor suggested sort of this double standard of free speech and tolerance except for Jewish students. I think there's other exceptions, but this is the one that we're focused on right now. Has to do with the oppressor-oppressed indoctrination, orthodoxy that is present on campuses, including throughout the Ivy League, clearly, as well as TikTok and social media, but TikTok specifically, where he argued that pro-Palestinian videos, tributes, outnumber pro-Israel videos and tributes by like 58-1. Do you agree, or do you have other perspective on this radicalization that you witnessed in terms of how it came to be?
So it really is. I mean, it's a complex thing, and it affects everybody differently. I mean, there are a lot of students that are there that are still attempting to protest peacefully. A lot of but then of course there are nefarious actors within there, and then just outside the campus, just outside the gates, and this is like yards and yards away from the encampment, because the Morningside campus isn't very big, are protesters that are, some that might be affiliated with the university, but a lot that are not, that have shown up, that are really radical and that are chanting, pro-Hamas and burn Tel Aviv to the ground and things like that. So it's a complex thing, but the thing is that the ideology is you're right, it's actually pretty simple. It does come, everything is kind of filtered through this prism of oppressed versus oppressor, and there's this, there's this hierarchy, and whoever is lowest is correct or right or morally pure or good, and that's a really simple kind of reductive take, but it's really pretty accurate in terms of how it gets into these young folks' heads and primes them to just see everything through that lens.
But, it's one thing to see things through that lens, be convinced that this is the right and proper way to conceive the world. It's another thing to be completely unhinged and hysterical and borderline frothing at the mouth. That's not sort of a dispassionate philosophical framework. That is clearly engendered by real hatred. And I wonder what your perspective on that is. Where that vitriol comes from.
Vitriol, yeah. I mean, it is. Oh gosh, I mean, I guess maybe there's a contagion. There's a contagious element to it. There's a lot of, no one is. There's not really a lot of teaching about the values of empowerment and survival and lifting oneself up. It's very much about victimhood and how you're oppressed and accentuating that, and then kind of channeling that into a resentment and an anger. And I think that's where a lot of that comes from. So I think that's really attractive for a lot of young people, especially who are just uncomfortable and confused and don't know where they are in the world and what's happening, and they want meaning and they want connection and purpose. And so this is the outlet that it takes them, and it could be really positive, but this is a really negative way to channel it. But this is just a really continuation of what began in the late 60s at Columbia. I mean, we all grew up on this, from these generations. My generation, I'm a millennial, I'm 41 now. It's just romanticized view of the late 1960s and all of these radicals that came and protested and started these huge riots at the school, and then against the Vietnam War. And so there's this such a strong desire from these young impressionable people to recapture that and to be able to relive that and replicate that. And that's what I see so much of what is going on currently.
This is so different. I mean, I look at this encampment, and there's the trans flag, the gay flag, and these really nice tents. Those are expensive tents. Do you have any idea or any rumblings of? I mean, no, seriously, because I camp, and there's got to be $200-300 a pop, and there's dozens of them. So
right.
Who's funding all this?
That's a really good question. There have been speculations about that because a lot of the tents are the same. Who knows? I mean, there's a lot of speculation about where a lot of the money comes from with these coalition groups, these student organizations. I don't know all of the details about the funding, but there have been people that have speculated, and perhaps people have proof. I have no idea that a lot of the funding comes from pretty nefarious people and actors and organizations. But yeah, there are. But I mean, again, you brought up a good point. These are really, many of these students come from ridiculously wealthy families, and like I wrote in my short piece for the Spectator, it's like, why are they masked? Revolutionaries are typically proud. They kind of want themselves captured on camera and to get. But I think that a lot of these young folks are terrified. They still want to be able to have job prospects after they graduate. They're not sure which way the pendulum is going to swing. Their parents probably are also texting them and calling them and saying, if I catch you on video, if I catch you on,
Wear a COVID mask so we can't see you.
Thousands and thousands of dollars on their education. So there's a lot at stake here. And I mean, these students are paying a lot of money to go here. They could have chosen not to go here, but they did choose to go to Columbia and work their butts off. It's like a 4% acceptance rate. So,
Would if you had to do it over again, would you go to Columbia, or alternatively, maybe you have a child, I don't know, but would you send your child there?
I never would send my kid there. I don't have kids, but I have friends with kids and family, and I would never do that. I did appreciate my experience there because of what I learned about this culture. So, and I did get a good education there. It's a research institution, so I did learn a lot. For me, I was a non-traditional student, so I had dropped out years ago and then went back to school, and they have a program there for continuing students where, non-traditional students can just be matriculated in with everybody. So I was in my 30s when I went, so I had a little bit more of a filter. I was grown up. I had real life experience, so I was able to kind of sift all of this insanity through a filter of, oh wow, that doesn't actually seem right. And then the longer that I was there, the more I realized that, oh, okay, I'm really lucky that I have critical thinking faculty, and that I can look at this from a more experienced perspective.
Ben Appel, Columbia University graduate. He's written for Newsweek, Free Press, Unheard, Washington Examiner. Get his musings at his Substack, substack.com/Ben Appel. Ben, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The future of medicine is here at QC Kinetics. QC is the nation's leader in the most exciting revolution in pain management we've seen in decades. Regenerative medicine. If you're tired of achy joints, if your joint pain is keeping you from doing what you love, you need to call QC Kinetics today. Surgery, steroids, drugs, these are no longer your best options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative treatment that delivers lasting results. QC Kinetics is under the leadership of National Medical Director Dr. Michael Scheinkupp. Dr. Scheinkupp is a pioneer in this field with 20 years of clinical work, research, teaching, and publishing. He wants to get you relief with a needle, not a knife. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. Appointments now available on Saturdays. Call 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955. Again, that's 312-809-5955.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right. Thanks so much for making us part of your morning, part of your lives. Thanks to Justin Kosick, our technical producer, and Quinn McCarthy. We're back here bright and early tomorrow morning. Now into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
An off-duty killing of a Chicago police officer ruled a line-of-duty death. Libertyville police warn about an attempted robbery. The Bears asking taxpayers to foot the bill for a good chunk of a new stadium that they want. And suitors are emerging to possibly buy Oberweis Dairy. WIND Chicago News Time, 9 o'clock.
The abortion issue back at the Supreme Court. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.